Daniel Cross, Tom Boyd, Easton Wood, Dee Berry, Ali Blackburn, and our captain, Marcus Bontempelli. Tonight, we've remembered and acknowledged some of the greatest to ever wear the red, white and blue. But as immense as their on-field contributions have been, we know that this club is what it is today because of its people, its fans, its faithful.
You've weathered the toughest of times and stood strong when all seemed lost.
Very much a question of the Western Suburbs coming of age in that struggle.
When I turned the radio on and they said Footscray to stay there, the tears just flowed, you couldn't help it.
It's an old saying, champions get up when they can't. And that's what the people of Western Suburbs proved they were.
Your spirit and belief has ensured our survival and inspired our greatest victories. The Bulldogs story is your story. Our story, the story of the mighty West.
Sons and daughters of the Scray, we are a family, we are a clan, we are a mob. We stand here. Take a look around. Put your arms around someone. Put your arms around your friends, your family. Put your arms around a stranger as long as they're wearing the red, white and blue. This is our night tonight. We've been here for 100 years and more, and we'll be here for another 100. Come out snarling tonight. Up the Scray!
Story very, very well told. Bob Murphy and the heroes of the Footscray Football Club celebrating 100 years of excellence at both VFL and AFL level. We'll take a break here at the MCG. The best callers in football to join us ahead of what's going to be a massive Friday night match. Collingwood take on the Dogs next.
The MCG is filled with the living history of a football club. It is a night to honour the past, and the modern challenge is to do justice to the occasion. So if instead you inherit the history, the romance and the baggage, tonight that comes with a responsibility and the opportunity for these Footscray players in that specially minted jumper to do honour to all that has gone before. Footscray back out onto the MCG against a traditional foe in Collingwood, and the opportunity is for a bunch of understudies as well as the established stars. Jason Dunstall, good evening.
Good evening, Jared. Good evening to everyone joining us tonight for another big night at the G. It's going to be enormous, isn't it? A couple of changes. They're sadly undermanned, unfortunately, the Doggies, but they will give their all, particularly on an occasion as auspicious as this one. It's hard not to appreciate the man leading them out tonight, Tom Liberatore. He just has become such an incredibly consistent performer. 28 possessions, 9 clearances last week. We're talking about a bloke that's 6 times in the top 3 of the best and fairest. He's a genuine on-field leader, inspiration now. No Marcus Bontempelli, so he's the leader, but he's a heart and soul player. Love what he brings to the table every time we see him in action.
Anthony Hudson, if it couldn't be Marcus Bontempelli tonight, the Liberatore name is the one that binds the 2 generations of the Western Bulldogs, from Tony through to Tom.
No doubt, Jared. Evening, everyone. Great to be here on such an occasion. And the father-sons, these great names that carried the Bulldogs really through so much heartbreak over the years. We know they came so famously close to not surviving it when football was really struggling in the late 80s, and some of those big names, and our own Brad Johnson is amongst them, that really did give them that heart to keep it beating out there in the West. They relied on so many individuals. They were so desperate to be able to stay alive and then win that flag so famously in 2016. So many of our generation, I guess, coming through didn't get to taste that success, but they enjoyed it nonetheless, and the West name with his dad winning so many best and fairest was so much part of it.
So Gary Lyon, they always had heroes, didn't they? So if success was sometimes survival, in every generation there were heroes.
The heroes and some of the biggest names in the game, in the history of this game as well. So Tony Liberatore there, the father we just saw, the father of Tom, they had characters who were larger than life and played the game in an old-fashioned manner that suggested you give yourself a clip under the ear, but you'd have a beer first, the first one with a beer post-game. There's Luke Darcy and son Sam, this bloke, what's in front of him? The future's just extraordinary. Ed Richards, a famous Collingwood name who tonight runs out in the Western Bulldogs colours. So there's storylines everywhere. The build-up's been immense, and I can't wait for the game to get underway.
Can they match the occasion is the question for them with the long list of injuries that they have. The Collingwood side of things, it's so rare to see the black and white cast in the support role. That's what they are tonight, but they'll be cold and unsentimental in it. They've got their own milestone, and well, their footy's first couple, aren't they now? Steel side bottom, and Scott Pendlebury entering the fray once more beyond any other pairing in the past.
It's hard to get your head around this, Jason. 308 times. The 308th time they'll come out here and talk about famous footballing names. They're some of the biggest in football running out onto the hello turf right now.
It's extraordinary, isn't it? A genuine aberration in opening round. They bounce back, I think, as most people expected, albeit in emphatic fashion last week. And they'll be looking to continue that momentum now as we get into round 2. And they've got some important changes as well. We know that Myercheck's laid out. Nick Mason-Cox comes in to replace him. And Jordan De Goey replaces Lockie Sullivan. Now, De Goey's a really interesting one. He hasn't had a great run for a while. Just the 13 games last year. We know what he's capable of. If he can get back to that 2023 finals campaign brand of footy, the ability to break the game open in the middle of the ground and then go forward and impact the scoreboard, he can take Collingwood to another level.
It's getting that mix right for them too in that midfield, isn't it? With Dacos and De Goey, they're such pivotal players, and having the right support players around them, and then the right firepower up forward.
I think he adds to a growing flexibility about this side. So we watched Geelong play over the last couple of years, and their willingness and ability to throw their side around. De Goey, Lipinski, Nick Dacos, Chris, Josh Dacos, all got the capacity to play on every line all your way through. So it'll be great to see how good De Goey goes. I want to see what sort of Nick he's going to be in. It is set, Jared. It is absolutely cherry on.
It's a special night, special occasion footy this Friday night on both fronts. Footscray and Collingwood coming up next, Friday Night Footy, right here on Fox.
You're watching Friday.
This year, and tonight, a night of history for the team representing the West. For one night only, they are back, the Western Bulldogs, as Footscray, as they take on Collingwood here at the MCG. Great to be here on Saturday night, alongside Jared Waitley, as well as Gary Lyon and Jason Dunstall. And I mean, there's pressure on the Bulldogs to be able to perform with so many of their heroes in the house. But also for Collingwood, it's not necessarily going to be an easy night because they are the overwhelming favourites. And Gaz, I guess we were looking at a couple of absolute two superstars. You've written about it in the Herald Sun this morning. How do you compare the small and the tall, but they're two of the most talented youngsters in the game?
The age-old argument, the good big man or the good little man, you can take your pick, and we're blessed to be able to watch two of the best versions of it. Nick Dacos, arguably the best player in the competition, Jace. His ground level work's outstanding. His capacity to win it and then use it is unsurpassed. And then you stack him up against Sam Darcy, this 208-centimetre monster who's almost unstoppable in the air when he gets a good run out of around 12. Took 7 marks against Collingwood when he kicked 3 goals. They'd be well aware of his capabilities. 5 of those marks were contested, by the way. So I'm not sure which way you'd go if I had to put it to you.
Picks 2 and 4 from the 2021 national draft, isn't it? And it's different levels of development. That's the problem. The midfielders coming ready-made. The big talls take a little longer to develop, but he certainly had an impact last time that he matched up against the Pies. The big marks, he kicked goals, he got himself rubbed out, he did it all. He certainly let them know that he was around. We're talking 72 games already into Nick Dacos, just the 29 games into Sam Darcy, but I'd hate to have to choose because the big men are harder to find, Gaz. And that's not to say the quality of a Nick Dacos is a dime a dozen, but I think you can find good midfielders easier than you can find key positions that might dominate.
Sounds to me like you're going, Sam.
I'm leaning Sam Darcy's way. I want to go that way.
I was going to ask you, Gary, did you come to an absolute conclusion?
Yeah, I went down. I went Dacos right now with a big watch on Sam Darcy. The thing I loved about that round 12 game that we just saw then, I know it sounds, I'm not supporting violence, but I want a big man who's got an attitude, and he made whoever it was pay, and he paid a price for it.
Braden Maynard.
Braden Maynard? Okay, so he didn't pick a wallflower. And he paid a price, but that to me says he's got that inherent nastiness in there as well.
But the difference is we're judging potential against what's already transpired. Nick Dacos has very quickly elevated himself to be as good as anyone in the competition, if not the best. Whereas Sam Darcy has the potential to be that, but when is that going to come to fruition? When will he start grabbing games by the scruff of the neck? It could be tonight, it could be consistently this year, it might take longer, we don't know.
Oh, they are two of many players who are going to impact this game tonight. The Dan Houston recruiting was a master stroke. It was specific and it was targeted, and it came all to a head last week against his old side. They missed it in the first outing against the Giants, that run off the back half, but he was superb against Port Adelaide.
I feel like we're talking about it every week now, Gaz. It's back to the old art of tagging. And coaches have been slow to cotton on, haven't they? Some of them at the least anyway, because they want to play their own system. But we've seen dramatically the effects that it can have if you can stop the best players having their impact.
Not just through the middle of the ground, you're talking about halfbacks as well who are becoming damaging. So Nathan Buckley in our pre-game alluded to the fact that West has been able to do that job in recent years. So maybe he's someone that might get a specific role. They've got Quain, or they've got Josh Dacos off the back half as well. So they've got him everywhere.
So the captains of the night come together. Darcy Moore, will he get the job on young Sam Darcy? Only time will tell on that. And as we know, Tom Liberatore is debutising tonight for Marcus Bontempelli. The bounce a minute and a half away. On a cool night after a very hot summer in Melbourne. Feels a little more like winter tonight as we head into the main part of the footy season. An early win for Footscray with Tom Liberatore making the right call and kicking to the right of screen tonight.
Great characters that we talked about from a Footscray point of view. They've got late grade EJ Witt. Now when you go with Rory Lobb, having dyed his hair blue, Jason, just for the occasion. The blue hair on Rory.
Yeah, I'm not sold on it. I'm going to be honest, Gaz. Do you go and ask the coach before you do it, or do you just turn up at training like that?
Not in the modern day, Jason. As long as you can get a kick, you can do whatever you want.
It was word that Jared was going to turn up in blue hair as well, Gaz.
Yeah, no, that's maybe a sign of things to come. Looking at the back six, just as they walk out to position now, so he's going to have a big job, Rory Lobb. Kakamas is the other one down there. Fraser, the man that has captured the imagination of everyone, who had a massive second half. Looks like he's going out in the wing. Expect to see him play through the middle. But in particular, we want to see the matchup for Nick Dacos primarily. We know that he's had two variations this year. He's had a run with Toby Bedford, who did a good job on him. And then last week he was back to his freewheeling best. So just see it unfold. Darcy goes forward, gets a little welcome from Braden Maynard, the man that he sat on his backside. So there's a nice little bit of feeling early.
So we are set at the MCG, ready for the bounce. It's Footscray's night. And Craig McRae's got a sense of theatre in the record-breaking game. Steele Sidebottom and Scott Penderbury in game 308 together. Both starting in the middle of the MCG. Footscray, yes, Footscray versus Collingwood. And English goes up against Cameron as always. The ruck duel will be pivotal tonight. It's a very different ruckman. English gets an early hand to it. And Kennedy, who made an impact, the ex-Blue last week, gets them forward. And it is Darcy versus Darcy. And Sam over the top of Moore with a good tackle. And the umpire has called it as holding the ball. That has set a standard.
Caught up in the emotion of the night. To get the 100-year celebration started here. Let's just have a look at it. looking forward to the matchup. See, did he have
He's got the left arm free. That's what he said. The left arm that's holding the ball is free. So he's got to try and throw that on his boot. I have no problem with that decision.
Let's see if he can make it play here.
Got to remember it's just his 30th game, Sam Darcy, but he must convert here. Footscray with the first, and it comes from the son of the Western gun.
Well, I think we expected Sam Darcy to have an impact, but you don't expect him to get the first goal from a tackle. It's extraordinary. We're going to see some great matchups down back. Darcy Moore on Sam Darcy. It was great to see a big fella actually get himself dirty. Stay in the contest. He didn't get the bounce, but then he locks the right arm and he holds the body.
It's not asking too much of Darcy Moore to be able to get that on.
If the ball, if the arm holding the ball is free, you've got to be able to do something.
Well, it's a perfect start, no question about that. Vandermeer's has he got Dan Houston? Dan Houston's the backman playing on Leighton Vandermeer, so that might be one to keep an eye on.
And the other matchup that it leaves with Moore on Darcy is you've got Reece McInnes has to do the job on Aaron Norton. That's a massive ask.
Dogs with the first. English and Cameron. Cameron protects the space. Kennedy swooped. Richards ended up with it. Robes up to half forward. It lands and runs. Darcy's there again, so too Vandermeer. Moore gets involved. Cuts it off Lipinski and side bottom. Launches it down the line. The Dogs have got good representation. Fraser should have marked in it. Hill. Nick Dacos works it out the side to Lipinski with a shared heritage. Up to DeGoey, first up. Pops the pies forward. Elliott waited over the top. And Buchan patches it out of play.
That is a big spoil. Buchan is coming over the top. Great for his confidence. Just to crash into it and smash it over the fence.
Just one of two changes for the Western Bulldogs tonight. Baker will start as the sub. Ned Long, despite his good form last week, has been back as the sub tonight. Dacos didn't quite get enough from the kick. Underneath it, with Membry and McStay. Gallagher under some serious heat. Spinning, trying to get his way through was Elliott. Without success, the heat just goes up the notch. Jeray, clearing kick. Pies well, Scott Cameron. Either mark or free kick.
They fought hard to his for enormous for them last week.
Look at Braden Maynard straight into Darcy. A little reminiscent, the late. You can see Darcy holding up and saying, I was trying to spoil, still crashed into his back.
He's got a memory. He's got a memory, Braden Maynard. So wing the ball back in your front half. So important.
Doesn't take on the shot. Plays it wide to Josh Dacos. Being wooed by plenty inside the 50, but he takes the conservative path, goes short to Steele side bottom. About where he kicked that famous goal late in the 2023 grand final. Don't think he'll try it on this time. Just sets it up to the square. McStay, defended well by Carmus, and then Harms. She set Davidson up for a fall, a big fall. There may have been a whistle though that saved him. High contact.
That's James Harms on the last line of defence. He is Josh Dacos has got all opponents. So Harms getting up high. Magpies fans have their say. Sam Davidson brings the Bulldogs out for Norton to have the fly. Kennedy got in his way and took the mark. Gives it off to West. That didn't pan out at all. Would have been better in the hands of Norton. West gets the free kick though.
Called it a duck tackle.
Have a listen to those Collingwood fans.
It's the biggest home and away crowd the Bulldogs will ever have played in front of. It's a record that dates back to the 70s. It's an immense crowd here as Liberatore takes possession to Davidson. Moore's had a little fumble on the sharp ball coming at him. McNeil desperate to drive the Dogs forward. Moore's having none of it. Myercheck and Pendlebury and Maynard's close to the boundary. Josh Dacos up the line. Sanders did enough. Now there's an injury just to the side of the play here. McInnes has done his ankle. The Pies are on the break out the front. Davidson chested enough to run interference. Chris McCreary overwhelmed by the numbers. Pendlebury tries. Nick Dacos out the back. Maynard can settle things. Low down. Too low. McStay can't do much about it. Fraser finds sanctuary.
Reece McInnes in a lot of discomfort going straight down into the wounds, it looks like. Couldn't put any weight on his right ankle.
So one of the Ned Long is the sub, and there he is. He inserted into this game way earlier than he would have imagined. Had a terrific game last week. There were a lot of balls around the contest to enable Nick Dacos to get to the outside. Liberatore jumped and came down with the ball, and there was very little pressure. So off to Bailey Dale, who's a huge player for them. As is this man, heart and soul. Braden Maynard of the Pies. Some questions on his future beyond this year. Well, should be hard-pressed to find a more popular Magpie. Down along the line he goes. Elliott can't get the rise, and funky lob takes it over the boundary line and out of bounds.
Free kick's been paid here.
It's been grabbed in the marking contest, I think, so Taylor Trail will take the kick. The back six was going to be a question. We put it to Luke Beveridge pre-game. Stood up pretty well so far.
DeRay takes the yardage up the line. Warren Darcy, more front position. Chopped. That week for Collingwood's captains and Zimbabwean swimmers. They become El Presidente. More with footy in hands. Give the Pies forwards a look, but particularly wide with the kick, lob across the front. Saw it off. It is niche, the blue rinse in a sports set, isn't it?
Niche is one word for it.
There's the Reece McInnes injury here. So just landing awkwardly. And as Ruby said, he was in a lot of pain and went straight off the ground.
Nondescript, wasn't it? Terrible. Let's hope he's nothing too serious.
So Jeremy Howe's got on to Norton. And the ball is inside, about to go outside. The defensive 50 for the Bulldogs. Kennedy had a swing and a miss, as you heard. Tempers inflamed further amongst the crowd. Dacos penalty. Houston powerful with hands rather than feet. Crisp, centering ball, more hopeful than with any real design to go in, but Fraser comes away with more authority this time. Dolan had to reach for it, and reach for it he does. Wins it at ground level, looked up and saw Bobby Hill right in his face.
So the pattern that's emerged early is that the Western Bulldogs' inability to get it into their forward half. They did from centre bounce to score the first goal of the game, but it's lived now in Collingwood's half of the ground at the moment.
He did well, Josh Dolan. That looked like it was going to be an intercept mark. Used his pace to get there, get the fingers in it, and keep the ball going towards the boundary.
Cameron controls the airwaves, couldn't do much with it though. Kennedy around the Hums, found a way through. Richards, hand passes to Dolan. Devil of a time picking it up, but he's controlled it well at the last. Guides it up to Norton. Promising moves up ahead. Slips the hand pass out the side instead. Kennedy settles, drives. Pushed up.
So Richards got involved in that up on centre wing. It was Josh Dacos and Houston that stayed back. So they allowed him to push up for the contest. He has to get involved in impact. Then they can bypass the extra man that Collingwood have across half back. If they don't get pressure on there, gee, they're playing with fire, leaving either Josh Dacos or Dan Houston unmanned.
So more with a kick in. It came a little off the instep, which meant that no one was quite ready for it. It was over the line. Outstanding in the first half, particularly last week, was Matt Kennedy, 23 disposals and 6 inside 50s. 17 of those came in the first half. English tries to put it down the throat of Fraser. There's Kennedy, where you'll see him all night. Arnie Jones, who was subbed last week, will be relishing the opportunity of a full game, but we'll have some regrets about that kick.
No hard tag on Nick Dacos. It's either Richards or Fraser or Kennedy just takes responsibility to stoppage. 5-2 clearances in favour of the Dogs.
Queen all long up the line. Cox presents, cleared the way. Did his work early. Lob jarred clear.
The warm-up top is off of Ned Long. He's entering the field now, so that sub would be made with Reece McInnes coming off with that ankle injury.
So didn't have to wait long tonight. Ball in the jumble. DeGoey sends it forward, shoots out the side. Crisp works it on. Long gets his first look. Give them out to him.
So it's interesting with Mason Cox coming on, having a run in the ruck. Darcy Cameron's gone forward. That changes the mix-up. You talk about that back six for the Dogs. Rory Lobb has to go to him now. In fact, he hands over and it's Buku Karmas on him as Lobb goes to Membry.
English and Cox ready themselves. Crisp underneath, slapped it onto the boot. Lob led up. Strong stuff.
Such a big role he's going to have back there tonight. Darcy has 3 Magpies to contend with, but no matter, he marks anyway. What a contested mark phenomenon he could be. Into the middle to the most famous medical student in Melbourne, Davidson. Off he goes to Gallagher. They try and wind the hands through. Davidson again. Down to Norton. He leaps from behind. His timing was good. Dolan didn't kick a goal in his debut. Still prepared to share with Fraser. It's another poster.
Gee, that's a bad miss. They should have made a goal out of that. You speak about Darcy and his ability to take marks. What about turning onto the left foot and kicking back into the corridor? And it was right on the money.
Houston looking for more. Karmas had other ideas. Punishing spoil. West underneath. Loose men everywhere. McNeil takes the mark.
Huge win from Booker Karmas. This is just having your head in the game early in the piece. So he's playing centre back, full back, whichever you want. But he's read that early, left his man, got the fist in. And now, from their fourth entry, they'll have their fourth score. The Footscray Footy Club.
Some good composure from Riley West not to blaze away.
Terrific form over the summer, translated into an excellent first up performance. McNeil's got to get it on the board. And he does. Footscray have started hot.
We're going to look at this. Unbelievable work from their back half. So far they've been inside 56 times. Collingwood's inside 50. Keep going back in 6 times. Haven't given up a score, Footscray. And then you get a heads-up play like this from a defender. Look how far he's come. Closed it down, and as you pointed out, the West composure to McNeil is superb. So they'll be thrilled. 4 entries, 2 goals, 2. 6 entries, Collingwood, not a single score.
Great part about that Karmas spoil, Gaz, is he's come sprinting from a long way away. He got all ball, and he didn't crash into the back of Moore and give away the free kick, which is a big temptation. Often happens in those situations.
Huge, absolutely enormous. So they'll be thrilled with the way they've started here, Footscray.
So big Mason Cox into the ruck. It's a bit of a surprise call-up with Marchek only telling the club yesterday that he wouldn't be fit. Back spasms they have reported. Out of the middle long, so starting as the sub, but within 12 minutes he's part of the centre square setup.
Just got an update on Reece McInnes. It's actually his knee, which you hate to see given how innocuous the movement was in that marking contest.
Thanks, Roos. After the scramble, Fraser flipped it up. Could have been a throw, side bottom. Cox knew what he had to do. Just get it on the boot. Lob in front. Did he get a push? Yes.
So a challenge for Collingwood's forwards here. They've been dominated, but they've been slow to react.
Well, he's floated that kick, but no dramas. Lipinski a step too late. Richards, so impressive, so dynamic. Leading this midfield with Liberatore, and he's seen Vandermeer inside 50. He stands up and takes the mark.
See, the evolution of Rory Lobb as a defender continues. We've already seen him intercept mark. Then we see him take front position away from Cameron. He draws the free kick. A risky kick out of defence, but it pays off, and all of a sudden they're having another shot for goal. It's exciting style of transition from the Bulldogs.
Really maturing. An important part of this Bulldogs team. Career high 3 goals last week with 16 disposals. They've got to make this advantage count. And that's exactly what he's done. Collingwood yet to worry the scorers. And Footscray already with 5 scores, 3-2-20. They have made the jump which they had to do given how undermanned they are.
5 scores from 5 entries. Just Josh Dacos, so learning his craft in the back half. Just look how much room he gives. You can see here Vandermeer here, up and just coming in the centre. He hasn't even turned his head, Dacos. Now he turns and still doesn't go back aggressive enough. Leaves Vandermeer inside 50 on his own. Vandermeer takes the mark, kicks the goal. Josh Dacos is an aggressively minded halfback who's going to take liberties, get off you at every opportunity. But if you don't close down at the appropriate time, you will pay the ultimate price.
3-2-0. A big quarter of an hour for the Bulldogs. Darcy and Koch, not a great bounce. No equal chance, so called back. Cox comes across the line to protect the space. The Dacos had it knocked away by Richards, who threatens out the front. Vandermeer will give it back to him. Richards steadies himself. Wobbled the kick a fraction and misses out.
That's a shame. That looked brilliant out of the middle of the ground. They are creating scoring opportunities every time they go forward. 6 scores from 6 inside 50s, and they look like scoring every time they move forward.
Very low ball coming from Howe to Crisp.
So 6 scores, 6 entries at one end, 6 entries at the other, no score.
Great to have the insights of Gary Lyon and Jason Dunstall on a Friday night at the MCG. A real shock here for Collingwood again. Heavy body work, but the umpire ticks that one off. Won't improve the mood. Darcy spots the moving Norton. And great connection between the two big men and Aaron Norton to line up for a fourth for the Dogs.
That is two outstanding kicks on the left foot from Sam Darcy after taking contested marks. Just turns on the left and goes bang. May have gotten away with a decent old shove there against McStay, but the kick is elite.
35 goals, 14 last year. Aaron Norton kicked 3-1 last week. His kicking his goal is improving. That's not evidence of that there. Cox makes sure it's at behind rather than anything else. That's 7 scores to none by this massive crowd here at the MCG.
Josh Dacos saunters in, uses Howe. Sets the hand past to Maynards. He can have a gallop and a bounce. Settle himself for the drive forward. McStay's got a couple to deal with. Lobb took it cleanly. Hill took him hard. The house of the Collingwood faithful go unrewarded. Like the replay of it less. Cox and English spot all over it. Jones threatened to get through. Couldn't find a passageway. Cox underfoot, Liberatore on the flow. Gives Fraser a chance. Every yard counted at the moment. Fraser paddles it to the boundary.
Panning out to that man's liking so far. Certainly is for Luke Beveridge, though. His 350th game tonight, combined as player and coach. 118 as a player with 3 clubs, including Footscray.
So Bailey Dale, who's now coming to the bench, he's just played off the back of that stoppage, and Josh Dacos is just playing off the back of the stoppage from a Collingwood point of view. So 2 great ball users, rolling the dice at the moment, both coaches.
Interesting no tag on Dale, isn't it, really?
Yeah, well, I guess they're hoping that Dacos can generate the same drive.
English has a second crack at it with success. Skies one towards Norton again. Moore had him covered that time. Pendlebury's hands were slick to the going. Had time to pause and suddenly lift his eyes and ambitions. Gets it to McStay, but no. Denied any sort of access by Lobb. Paddle away by Memory. Good follow-up from Long. And then crisp on the curl. But again, that final kick is letting them down as the man who says he's the real doc, Dr. Ray of the Bulldogs, with the relieving pass.
You've got to love what you're seeing from Rory Lobb as a defender. He was out of position that last contest, able to get a hand in, and now he's being used on the way out.
The back six have been superb, Chase.
Yep.
Absolutely. We looked at it pre-game. We thought, is this going to be a concern? They have been magnificent in the first 15 minutes.
I love the switch kicks they're running with too.
Yep, it's been ultra aggressive in the hands of Williams on the left wing. Hooks up the line. McNeil made space. Howe works him underneath. Quaynor's the man to mop up. Bit of a reprieve to Perryman. Lipinski in retreats. So kicks off the heel. Work by Nick Dacos ever so cleverly to Perryman. Was going to give it to Josh and then decided to kick instead. He's going to a 2-on-1 against Hill and Lobbs there as well.
Oh, he's been
kicked it over the boundary too deliberately.
He did so well, he left his man McStay.
Bobby goes quickly and DeGoey smelt the opportunity.
Well, you can really put that one down the Collingwood crowd, Chase. They've been loud and boisterous, and they finally got one to go their way. And he had Mason Cox at the top of the square, but this bloke's not a bad choice either, Jory, to go. He'd be puffing, first outing, he'd be taking in some deep ones. It's the sort of goals that he can kick.
Big banana.
Doha visit to settle the grumbling groin. Bone bruising on the knee. DeGoey measures it all up. It's near side. Collingwood's first scores are behind, and they're 21 points adrift as we're about to hit time on of the opening term.
Still 7 minutes though remaining, so plenty to take place. Lobb been a big feature so far, puts plenty on it down the line. Darcy in his sights again, dribble as to mark. In fact, it's been paid to Perryman. So he did pay Perryman the mark, and then the pass goes to Cameron and short to Nick Dacos. With a slow build-up, suddenly and dramatically changes on the switch. Fumble from Clayton on the recovery to skidding one for Schultz. Good defence from Davidson, but back to DeGoey. Unencumbered, and there's a free kick. McStay's going to mark it, but it's downfield anyway.
It's against Vandermeer, who put some pressure on DeGoey. First one didn't seem to be overly excessive for mine. McStay may have marked me anyway, but didn't look to be a hell of a lot in that.
Minimal contact.
At last, a Collingwood goal. McStay, who's been impressive certainly last week in the goal now for the Magpies, finally delivers their first goal of the night.
It came about from a Nick Dacos change of direction across half back. So once they get into this sort of mode, they become really dangerous. Quaynor drops at footy there initially, and look, it's not pure footy by any stretch of the imagination, but they've got to generate some excitement and run from the back half. That's an important part of what they do. McStay, and to this point in time, they've been well beaten by their defensive opponents, Collingwood. They just have to get a goal to settle, and they have. So back to the middle we go.
Dogs by 15. They've dominated the centre clearances thus far. Richards, Harms and Liberatore are their crew. Cameron the tap. Richards first access. Long dump him off it. Richards continues on. Stripped of the footy. Pile in. Liberatore is able to extract. Harms, Davidson dragged from behind by Schultz. Long has a chance. Stolen. Liberatore coming through. Gives the Dogs forwards a look. We think we have against West. To hold of Howe. Howe flares it out for Lipinski. Jones runs interference across the front. Jones is a threat here. Couldn't quite make the play he was thinking.
Scotty Pendlebury here, that just got one of the noggin. He's still out there, so assuming there's no issue.
Dogs attacking. English, a couple of taps at it. Josh Dacos underneath. Pendlebury. Back to Josh, who stole it from Nick. Gave it to Lipinski. The aggressive kick works. Schultz can turn. Side bottom's out the far side. Davidson's going to cut the angles. It gets to side bottom. Steers at the rails.
Well, that's the man you want kicking the ball inside 50 and steal side bottom. Again, we've seen both teams have success when they've used that aggressive corridor kick. Lipinski on that occasion was an absolute beauty.
Jamie Elliott, the frustrations of last season injury-wise, he has looked in prime condition entering 2025. The Pies are looking for a couple in a row to build some of their own momentum. Elliott sends it on its way. That's not getting it done.
No, it's not, but the last two times they've launched from half-back with precision kicking. 99 points last week from the back half is just an incredible number. And that's the last two times we've just seen the MO of Collingwood.
Williams just pulled up a bit sore as he kicks that. Those big arms are up again. Dust is so impressive in the air.
Three contested marks.
1 against 2 then.
Had a season high 5 against the Magpies last year in that game. Off to English, they fought amongst themselves with Davidson and the jumping West. They didn't get the result though after an exchange of words in the post. Darcy works his way back to the front of goal. Still being watched by Moore. English taps at goal. Dacos was ready. Lipinski, the ex-dog, with a fire handball to go. McStay, now Cox is charging forward. Can he sustain his run? Might have to come back over Rory Lobb. He met his match height-wise there to the big lanky Yankee, but it comes back to Lobb. And the handball to Gallagher. Fleet enough of foot to get by as they play the boundary flanks. Wide and low from Williams, the dive from Vandermeer. Left Dacos on his feet, not sure about the handball. We are now. McStay was stronger body and mind. Lipinski a bit speculative as well to McCreary. Wouldn't take a backward step, but he's outnumbered. Dale with a short and impressive kick. Too short, the umpire said, to Liberatore. And back to Dale, who settles. Unsure, he handballs, managed to raise problem. It was a rather large one. The umpire looked upon it kindly. Not so to Collingwood fans who have seen enough. Loose handball, 30 metres out from goal. Nick Dacos looked for a free and got it.
Well, the last 4 or 5 minutes have looked like a Collingwood game, so that's what they want. They want to be given a charge safety. They want this.
Yeah.
They want that forward pressure that Lucky Schultz was able to apply there.
I saw the high contact. Now, Nick Dacos. He's taking all the time allocated. He's right on the button. He starts his move in to shoot for goal. And Collingwood need it. It's been an unsettling opening term. And so much has not gone the way they planned. And there's another more example.
The Pies led the league in forward half intercepts last round, so it's going to be something we know it's a pillar of their game. They're going to look to bring it in here, and they want to play the game in their forward half.
Gallagher's kick was smothered by Membry, so the ricochet. Crispin Hill and Membry try to create. Carlos has got to defend. He did pretty well, kept his footing. Reinforcements arrived, they haven't got it. Elliott McCreary, it was too sharp for him. Richards with a calm head finds the outlet.
He summed that up, didn't he, Ed Richards, quickly. Had one outlet, had a half a second, and he found him.
Arms aggressive. Norton hasn't marked Pendlebury in the nick of time. Nick Dacos works it around. Cameron and Nick again. Dacos hand passes up to Maynard. Searching for Pendlebury on the bump. He's got it. Pressure drawn. McCreary inside. Couldn't get the snap cleanly away. Blocks the fortune. Schultz on the chest.
Yeah, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. The Dogs went with an aggressive kick back into the corridor. It was actually a good kick, but it's Aaron Norton that double grabs it. Doesn't take it cleanly. Pendlebury spoils, and now you get that forward half turnover that the Pies love, and they get a chance to score again.
Lockie Schultz, he had his moments in his first year as a Magpie. And I think he's got a lot more to give as he settles into it. Schultz from the channel, no mistake. The Pies are on their way back.
So imagine the Collingwood coaching box has just taken a deep breath, Jace. They looked at that first 10, 12, 14 minutes and they kept going inside, couldn't score at all. The back six of the Dogs were outstanding, but there's the double grab to speak of. Nick Dacos involved again. And just some composure. They were a little bit lucky with this kick that found its way to Schultz in the end. It was a bit of a muddle from McCreary. I don't think he was looking for him by any stretch of the imagination, but it's reward for effort. It is. So the Pop sits there and goes, okay, this is a bit more what we hope to see. Run and dash from the back half, score from the back half, get it in, pressure up everywhere, win the footy back, and now they're on the ball.
He was one of their best last week. Made 7 tackles, 17 disposals and a goal. Lockie Schultz cuts the margin to 7. So important closing minute here. Straight out of the middle, straight towards goal. McCreary, that is a huge kick. Membry backing back McStay, and Carmus knew that he could, so he does.
Ed Richards just get pushed under the ball there to centre bounce and left the whole of that centre square open.
One goal needs some time enough to do something about it. Richards is told to go back to Dale. Measures his kick out over the top of the initial contest. Vandermeer, though, was quick onto it. Jones is trying to be busy underneath. Hand pass indiscriminate. Cameron Forge the other way.
Got to be really careful down back, particularly in a defensive 50 now. When you go with that short kick that mightn't be more than 15, you've got to know that your teammate has time to react and play on if need be.
Cameron with the height advantage. Schultz clever with a hand pass. Put it out in front of long Nick Dacos. He'll measure it up for Elliott to set himself. It cleared in. Williams did the body work.
Last 2 clearances have been out the front, all the room out the front, goal side. They have to have a look at that, the Footscray midfield, the structure, when they get up, one of their wingers or high half forwards to get round the back. It's been very open the last couple of stoppages.
Bit of work to be done. Bulldogs started with such momentum. Collingwood with a chance to level things up on the way to quarter time. McCreary leads the chase. On the turn, searching for an option. He hopes for McStay, who stands and makes the contest. Fraser underneath. Schultz with a tackle. Jones hasn't got it. Elliott threatened. Lob held him up. Legal tackle.
The man with the blue hair has had an outstanding first quarter for the Dogs.
Did you ever think you'd say that during a quarter of the game, Jason? Cameron, conservative by comparison. And down to the last beat of an excellent opening term. The Bulldogs kicking the first 3. The Magpies fighting back. Crowd, the Collingwood portion of the crowd, still unhappy with the men in yellow, but they'd be happy with their own team fighting back. But night for Footscray, a massive crowd at the MCG. And the boys from the western suburbs, so far so good. They lead by 6 points, 3-4 to 2-4 on a huge Friday night here.
All right, folks, welcome in another game on this evening. And, of course, it's the Western Bulldogs, 100 years. Well done to the Bulldogs, 100 years. 3-4-22 leading the Pies, 2-4-16. And just shout out the people in the chat so far who's popped on in. Good to see everyone in here. Wilson, Will Gibson, how you going? Squire, how you going? Mark Lancaster, how you doing? Ryan, Tinane Bem Bem, managers in the house. Of course, Sunset Wanderer. G'day, Paul. What's going on, young fella? There we go. I tell you what, as I said in the comments there, Western Bulldogs, they've got to make the most of this while they can, especially in that opening part of the first term. Collingwood were left flat-footed and chasing their tails a little bit. Western Bulldogs getting all the decisions off the umpires. A couple of, well, unsavoury umpire calls, I think. But, you know, that's football. That's football. But Collingwood certainly came back into the game. They certainly got a bit of that run, their mojo back. Nick Dacos started to shine halfway through that first quarter. He's getting back into the game. He looks dangerous, of course, for the Western Bulldogs. The two players out there that I think are leading their way in the opening quarter, of course, is Darcy and Lobb. Rory Lobb, of course, he was, I tell you what, he was instrumental in the, well, pretty much the first, all of the first quarter down back. Tell you what, Collingwood need to look at a different direction to go than going in his direction. They've got to bypass him because he was dominating down back for the Doggies. So that should keep the Doggies fans happy. There were the lineups, just in case, for the Dogs. Karmas and Baker come in, O'Donnell and Cleary out. Baker was the sub. And of course, for Collingwood, Mason Cox, Jordan Ngoe, two big ins, Sullivan and Meyer check out. Ned Long was the sub there for the Pies. Let's just pop over, have a look at the stats at quarter time. And of course, as we look for the Western Bulldogs, the goal scorers, Vandermeer, McNeil and Darcy. Darcy being the first goal scorer of the game this evening. And of course, for the Magpies, Schultz and McStay, the only two goal scorers there so far for the Pies. Looking at the disposal count, well, after a very, very quiet opening 15 minutes of the game, Nick Dacos comes into stride, just as we were saying. Tell you what, he's looking scary if you're a Bulldog fan out there today. 11 disposals already in the opening quarter. 7 kicks, 4 kicks, 7 handballs, a mark, 3 clearances. And he hit one behind, took the post, and he got the goal. Scotty Pendlebury, the old boy, next best for the Maggies on 8, all handballs. No kicks for the Chief out there. Ed Richards and Tom Liberatore and Bailey Dale leading the way for the Dogs, all with 7 touches there. Let's head on down. Maynard's doing a good job down in defence for the Pies with 6, having to work hard that first part of the quarter. Jordan Ngoe, first back for a while, 6 possessions, first game this season for him. Josh Dacos, yeah, well, he will start and get in the game as well. He's just had the 6. Let's go on down. As I was saying, Rory Lobb there, he's had 5 kicks, but he's had a lot, 5 disposals, 4 kicks, 1 handball, 3 marks, a tackle, but he's had a lot of intercept, punches. So he's spoils, I'm trying to say. A lot of intercept spoils. He's doing a really good job keeping one of the Collingwood forward down there extremely, extremely quiet. Let's head on down there. McStay with the 4 touches for the Magpies with the 1 goal. Who else have we got down there? Harry Perryman, I think it is. Lobs on. Harry Perryman. Definitely on top of Perryman there at the moment. Who else we got there? Bobby Hill's quiet. He's only had the 3. Tim English, he needs to lift a little bit more for the Doggies. He's only had 3 disposals, 2 kicks and a handball. Darcy Cameron, although he's only had the 3 kicks, the 3 disposals, couple of kicks and a handball, he was instrumental in the, let's say the first half of that opening quarter. He was really good there. Mason Cox, just the 2 kicks, for the game so far. We'll have a little bit of a look at some of the team stats at halftime. Let's get back down to the ground, and we're only half a minute away, but they will. Yo, Addy G, Adrian Sports Channel, welcome in. Adrian, go Pies. Anyway, let's head back down to the ground. They'll take us to the bounce of the ball for the second quarter. Whereas the Bulldogs leading by 6 points, but I think the Magpie trainers are coming.
They're outstanding, but they also give you a bit of a look at it. It's a balancing act route. So Josh Dacos has been deployed as a back half along with Wayne on Houston. But at times he's going to get caught out. He takes a really aggressive spot, and you'll see that. He still relies on pressure up the ground. And the minute that it's not there, he will give you a look at it. Vandermeer goes back and kicks a goal. So it's risk and reward. He's had 6 touches. He's had a score involvement as well. But I think he's going to give you a good look at it. The other 2 impressive players on the ground for me, Jason, was Rory Lobb at one end. You mentioned it was outstanding, and Sam Darcy at the other. So they've been well served by their big boys, the Western Bulldogs.
Scott Pendlebury just headed down to the rooms. A conversation with the medical staff at the huddle.
He copped the hit from Tom Liberatore, but I don't think there's anything to worry about because Liberatore is reaching down for the ball at the moment that it happens.
Second term, Footscray by 6 points. English and Cameron ready themselves to resume the battle. English on the reach. Clever from side bottom to release Nick Dacos. DeGoey drives them deep forward. Elliott's coming up, and he gracefully rises to take the mark.
He was just too quick off the mark for Bailey Williams there. He exploded out of the goal square on the lead. Just so quick off the mark. Nothing Williams could do to cut him off. He was hoping that other traffic would get in the way, but single-minded approach to the footy. Jamie Elliott missed one in the first quarter. Wouldn't think he'd miss this.
To make amends and to level the scores, Jamie Elliott does the business. The Pies continue their roll, the other side of quarter time.
It's been really impressive. They got jumped early, weren't able to convert opportunities, but gee, the centre bounce is interesting. Not an area you or I ever went into, Jace, but it's all duck, no dinner here. So to go, he just floats forward. So he's at the contest, he just allows the rest of them to go on the ball and sits, attacking side. And as you say, this might be a matchup that they can look at. Bailey Williams was a defender early in his career. He spent a lot of times at Whitman in recent years, and you just got to get back into that mindset of playing on the last line. So I like the fact that Elliott has taken him to the goal square, although they may now have just flipped.
Gallagher's gone to him.
Gallagher's gone to him. So I think whoever does get Williams is going to get a bit of a look at it as an opportunity to take him back. And Pendlebury's out. Back on the bench. Gave a few Collingwood fans a heart attack.
Big fright, Gary. Out of the middle. Volleyed further forward. By to go. He harms, gritting the teeth, trying to find a way out. But here's Dale. So they're going to cross rather than any further towards goal. Displaced was Davidson. Crisp was doing the displacing. Schultz deep. Probing ball again. Elliott dangerous. Already a couple of shots for goal. He's kicked 2 in each of the first 2 games.
Yeah, well, with Lobb so dominant early, Elliott looms as the dangerous option right now, the dangerous matchup for the Dogs.
Scores level. Cameron arrives late for the ruck contest. Split it, but Liberatore with the clearing kick. Bodies entwined down there. Awkward bounce for everyone, really. Josh Dacos handling forward to Long. Got through the first tackle. Side bottom the next to try and restrain these Dogs. They use the hand until the Kennedy kick, which, if it goes all the way, would have been insufficient. It doesn't, as you saw, but again, Ball kept his feet and got the benefits of that. Long delayed the give. In the end, he curves it back as if he had eyes in the side of his head, because Bobby Hill was all alone and in the perfect channel to go.
What you call, Hutto? You said Darcy Moore keeps his feet. That was the difference in the contest. Aaron Norton goes to ground. He's immediately out. It allows Moore to pick up the loose ball, and then they get the repeat inside 50.
And then they get one of the great kicks of 2025 from Long. Just don't go to the obvious spot. Go to the hole in the space. It was magnificent.
2 goals straight last week with 3 goal assists, so 7 of his 10 touches were able to impact the score. He's a man that can inflict maximum damage. Collingwood takes the lead.
Just feels like they're building momentum, guys. And they got jumped at the the start, at least in terms of how they were defending behind the ball, but they seem to be controlling the flow of play now.
Well, your point sums up a bit where the game's at right now. You've got a feeling in the last 5 minutes that they're getting pushed aside. So have a look at this. This is the key display. That's too easy. Yeah. That's going to ground way too easy. When you've given up the last 3 goals of the contest, 3 in a row, you've got to grit your teeth there, Aaron Norton. You don't get pushed off the ball like that.
So he's been unlucky. He double grabbed a mark, which resulted in a goal, and then he's gone to ground there, which resulted in one to Hill as well. So just a star player, you expect him to do better.
What a kick.
Yeah, that's just the Ned Long really getting on so early. Correct, like 24 touches last week, and then made the sub this week.
Well, that finish there was absolutely superb.
Collingwood with 28 unanswered points to lead. Kennedy in the middle. Second effort was good. Liberatore didn't quite handle it. He goes again. Kicked it straight to his own man, Fraser. Kennedy's on the gather though. Richards threatens to get it forward. Snooked on his kick of fraction. Quaynor over the top to make the spoil with Sanders. Vandermeer underneath. Davidson squirts the kick, and that works as well. Lucky kicks at the moment, and Darcy was in the van.
Yeah, luck's a fortune, but you couldn't have it in the hands of anyone better from a Footscray perspective. He had a very good first quarter. And he's the one that just positioned himself where that short kick might drop. A little bit of double handling there from Vandermeer. A quick kick in. You've got to play in front as a forward.
Sam Darcy sizes it all up like a snooker player. He's kicking for his second goal. Blasts it through. Stops the run and levels the scores. 4-4 apiece.
What a weapon. What a weapon this guy looms as. So he took 3 huge contested marks in the first quarter. Has that wing player that pushes up on the wing. But if they can get some footy and isolate him inside forward 50, Chase, he is an absolute nightmare matchup. Great contest from Sanders. You don't have to be a big, high-marking forward to be able to compete. And a little bit like McCreary to Schultz in the first quarter. It was a bit fortuitous and lucky. I love that though. I love that score from Sanders. Sorry.
Just keep the ball alive. Keep the opportunity to put pressure on and keep the ball in your forward 50.
But Darcy Moore, he can also has a tendency to sit back off his opponent. Will allow a little bit of distance to form between him and his direct opponent.
He's only kicked multiple goals twice in his past 11 games, Sam Darcy, a 2 and a 7. He has a couple already tonight. He's worked under this one successfully by Moore. Make sure he's outside the protected area there.
Very lucky, I think, Sam Darcy, not to give 50 away there.
Yep, absolutely. Crisp, making the space. And now the running on the wing. Down towards Cox. Rob just so good. It's like he's a 220-game defender.
Correct, and he looks like one of the best key defenders in the game these days. Oh, aggressive kick again.
It was aggressive, and Moore recognised that, but got there and a step too late. Kennedy won it well. Liberatore on the guide to Vandermeer.
They got an overlap because Moore left his man. It's Norton who's the free.
And Richards charging into the pocket.
Well, they had him out everywhere, Hutto, and you called that one correctly where it went, but gee, they had some options. So Darcy Moore, that's what the modern-day defender will do. Take a risk, leave his man. As soon as he can impact the contest, it comes back the other way.
Again, the aggressive kick from half back into the corridor opens up the play. Took a good contested mark though.
So Ed Richards kicked the first goal of the Dogs season last week. Well, to have 30 touches, he's going to need to produce something similar here tonight. He's missed a couple now. They really need to be kicked.
Yeah, those opportunities when momentum's all against you, you've got to take them. They need to settle up big time.
Howe brings it in long. McStay's his target. Jumps in front. Long. Tomahawk spoil. Pies had numbers underneath. Josh Dacos. Kick was charged down by Kennedy. Needs a bit of support. Has it from Dolan. Just missed Jones. Back into dispute. Kennedy tidies up. English works it around. Fraser's opened the play up well for Liberatore. Searching for the target. Darcy and Norton together. Darcy! How about that?
We spoke pre-game, guys. When is he going to start tearing games apart? It's looking like it might be tonight.
About 8:15, 8:20.
Round 12 last year, he took 7 marks, 5 contested. He's proving a handful for anyone. Darcy Moore hasn't been horrible. He'll give you a bit of a look at it, but this bloke is nigh on unstoppable if he gets good position in a marking contest.
The bloodlines are part of the Bulldogs' history. Sam Darcy looking for his third. He's curling it back. Expertly done. The inspiration of Templeton and Beasley beforehand, and all the greats watching down as the next generation forward emerges for them.
So they're riding his coattails at the moment. Footscray, aren't they? He is the one that is just proving to be the thorn in Collingwood's side. They've got to give him as much space as they possibly can. But you can just see here, there's nothing wrong with the positioning of Darcy Moore. He's right there. He's wrestling with him. And it looks like Sam Darcy's momentum isn't going towards the footy, but he pushes off more, gets that metre break, and as soon as he's in front, he's impossible to spoil.
He's got a rare talent to find the ball in the air from different positions, and he recovered, like they were both heading back towards goal, and he just recovered really quickly. It's exciting to watch, and they've got to now look at it. Looks like Jeremy Howe has gone to him, so Howe gets the match up with Sam Darcy.
Yeah, it looks like Luke's followed this Stephen Silvani sort of way to watch his son. It doesn't give much away, but there's a little smile there. There has to be. They're surging again off the boot of Kennedy. Dolan, first play on it here. Dacos did shadow him that time. Richards fell for Chris, but look at Liberatore. Splintered the pack. Richards with a feed. Frazier wobbles one to the square. Norton, 1, 2, 3, but not 4. It's not done yet. In the scramble. They're waiting. Oh, Lipinski forced the handball. Norton couldn't get ball to boot. Desperate times. Harms. How did they deny them on that occasion?
Really, as a player, had the ball for so long in the goal square, not been able to get it to his boot. Aaron Norton did that.
Eventually got pinged.
Tom Liberatore's last 10 minutes has been enormous for the Dogs. We know what he does. He's just got to work in a big, big way.
Loved Ed Richards' vision too in traffic to suddenly find the releasing handball.
Every shoulder to the wheel to save the goal. All a bit too close. Darcy doing the business with the pressure as well. A free kick for high contact though. Josh
So looking at McStay now, who's got Lobb as his opponent. He's taken Lobb a kick and a half away, which is smart, given the marking form that he's been in.
Josh has got nothing to work with. So kick and hope up the line. The ruckmen are there. English put it down underneath. Nick Dacos sticks the tackle. High quality Friday night. In a heightened environment.
Off for a well-earned break, Tom Liberatore, as you mentioned. He's run himself into the ground the last 10.
Yeah, he's been enormous. Him and Kennedy got to work at the coalface after the Magpies kicked 4 unanswered goals. They started to get a little bit of clearance dominance. And that's what you want from your leader, right? Identify when it's going against you and do something about it.
Dogs by 7. Ruckman lean into each other. Cameron ended up with it. Jones had it batted away. Cameron's second effort was excellent. Takes the yards. Carlos came off his man Membry. Sneaks the clean gather. Has support from Williams. Hooks it back. Collingwood are well set here. English arrives late. Made the spoil. Gave Richards a chance. Sanders tried to get it to English. Cameron was having none of it. Chris tackled to ground.
Settling in for the fight now. Cameron got the better of English, but there was a wayward arm. It's a free kick taken quickly with the advantage from Pendlebury to Schultz. Lipinski on across the paddock. There's a smart lead from Elliott, which was well received. He's marked it outside the 50, so one more at least before there's a clear shot for goal, and there it is. And it's Dan Houston.
Yeah, a man that has a different range to most players out there, so kicking to him on or just outside 50 doesn't matter. You can make it a 60-metre arc for him. This man has a leg.
Aaron Norton turns straight away to James Harms, who I think has got the responsibility for him, and this would be on the white ball until a week. Don't allow him to get this shot.
Great start to his Collingwood career last week with 27 disposals. Wouldn't he love to kick a 55-metre goal? And he didn't waste an inch. He's kicked them after the siren, but that's pretty darn good. A goal he won't forget as a new Magpie, Dan Houston. The Friday night stage at the MCG, we're back to a one-point ball game.
We've seen him do it as a Port Adelaide player. It's just effortless distance covered by his kicks. He times the ball beautifully. And again, we see the switch from one wing through the corridor all the way to the other side. A little bit of patience around the arc. And Houston puts himself in dangerous positions. He just drifts into a little pocket of space, and no one's tracked him.
Vandermeer's the one. So Vandermeer had him and then ran to try and fill a hole where he thought it was going to be more dangerous. I think in hindsight, the beverage message will be, that's the most dangerous. That right there, number 9. And just allowed him to get the easy chip up.
And his third touch, Houston, but did he make it count? Cox clean tap, Fraser first access, left it behind, Darcy out to Richards. This should work. Richards just scums the kick coming forward. Jones flung himself, didn't quite get it. Maynard and Josh Dacos combine. Kick in a hurry. Williams leads McCreary to it. Williams wins it well. And past to Fraser, searching for the options. More in it. Ducked around the front of Norton.
She's having one of those nights, Aaron Norton, at the moment. Needs to get himself into the contest. Not a great kick. Certainly wasn't to his advantage.
Nancy Moore obliges. Stay came late. McCreary took a yard or two. Dale repels. Williams, good pick up and bounce. Needs a bit of support. Just gets it off down the line. No penetration at Darcy. Reaches again. Pushed.
If in doubt, just kick it high, somewhere near Sam Darcy.
And he'll do the rest. That's how it looks at the moment, I know.
Go back to the satisfaction of the umpire. Darcy wants Richards, side bottom closes. Richards strong hands and he can go out the front. Delivers to the teeth of goal. Norton, more. The battle of the headbands neutralised by the Magpie skipper.
I've got to say, as impressive as the game of Sam Darcy has been, his field kicking's been exceptional when he gets the ball. He does not waste it.
He's so much more than just a key forward, isn't he, at the moment already? So exciting. You're a Western Bulldogs all tonight, a Footscray fan. More on the way out. As far as he can, Lobb was a presence in the air. Pendlebury always is at ground level. And then game 308 as a shared experience. He handballed to side bottom. McNeil, though, as they turn it back, Norton needs a little win. He just can't finish a deal at the moment.
He got outmarked a couple of times in this last few minutes, so at least then you halve the contest and allow your forwards to get to work. They've had a good 5 minutes, the doggies here. They've just had the Houston goal interrupted back-to-back Sam Darcy goals, but they've won it back in their front half.
Sam Darcy having a rest, how dare he? English doing the ruck work against Cox, as you saw. Lipinski has pounced upon and closed out.
Aaron Norton hasn't had the reward himself, but he has been involved in a couple of crucial plays of Sam Darcy's to create scoring opportunities.
English over the top that time. Not sure what Mason was thinking there. Pendlebury, did he get pushed forward? No.
This is good from the Bulldogs, though, locking it in their forward half. Just upping the pressure, giving Collingwood a little bit of their own.
See if they can turn it into a score. Cox snapped it out wide. Side bottom, Norton warring close. It skittles over the back.
It's important that they do have field position here because the Collingwood Footy Club had it back on their terms, winning the ball back between the two 50-metre arcs repeatedly there for about 10 minutes. So this gives them a little bit of a reprieve in their front half, the Dogs.
Sustained period of attack. Dogs blank 2. Got click time. Maynard swinging in. It's not quite enough subtly to meet the moment.
But he tried so hard to pull the other way once he realised his opponent had ducked and he was going to catch him high. See the arm and then he's very quickly trying to pull them back, but the damage is done.
James Harms, the Premiership Demon. From long range. That is unerringly straight from Harms. And the Bulldogs get their buffer back.
It's been a good flight back, Jace. In fact, it's been a fantastic game. There was a period early in the piece where they couldn't miss the Doggies when they went forward. Collingwood were was so impressive when they dug in to fight their way back, and it looked like for a period of time they had the game back on their terms, winning the footy back in between the arcs. But tell you what, the last 10 minutes, Liberatore started it, Kennedy's got involved, and then we spoke of Darcy and Lobb at either end of the ground. So 3 of the last 4 goals for the Doggies now. Open up a little break. Impressive.
Almost comical after his celebration. He turned and ran off the ground. There were teammates streaming to celebrate with him. They couldn't catch him, so they go, oh, okay, we'll get you later. He scored 2 on the way off that he had to run past, but that was all he got.
16 disposals of the goal last week, 7 score involvements. So actually did his hamstring against the Pies in round 12 last year to James Harms, hoping for better fortune tonight. Pies out of the middle, side bottom, and Nick Dacos, who just crafted the kick back. Was that a bit of tunnelling involved against Williams on Pendlebury? It was. So Pendlebury starting in the front 50.
Bit sore and sorry, Pendles. Had a couple of knocks tonight.
Can be a bit dangerous. I don't think there was malicious intent there, but you'd be absolute high alert. There's no way Scott Pendlebury's kicking this 55 metres. I don't think. You would be on high alert if you're an
Houston is making the run, but he decides to just place it.
Right.
Half volley picked up by Elliott.
He was looking for Jamie Elliott, so there was a lead in front of Elliott, and the kick was purposely to carry that lead and then drop into that hole, and he just didn't quite get there, Elliott. Gee, it was clever though, the way they worked it out.
1 goal, 2 for Elliott so far. Here's the Magpie most likely up front. Gallagher marks the kick in, takes the territory down the line, so he needs Vandermeer against a couple. Vandermeer's done well, hand pass to West, shot it out the front. This is Orm Davidson, fed it from Jones, kicks to McNeil.
Feeling about their own medicine there for the Western Bulldogs. Just length of the ground, new faces that are emerging and getting opportunity.
Lockie McNeil has one already. He knows his way around the goal front. Looking to curl it in. McNeil misses.
Well, through some of these missed opportunities, they've got the game back on their terms at the moment. Sam Darcy comes back out on the ground. They just need to take some of these chances.
Dan Houston from long goal kicker. So kicking the ball back in at full back. He took a very short option and only just got there safely to Maynard. He now goes for a wander, searching the members' side for a friendly face. Darcy's back out there and intervenes. Did it in style, got buffeted away by Chris, which slowed down the pace. Now West cops it, and it's holding the ball. He cops it twice. And the tackle, and then with the umpire's whistle, well done by McCreary. That's what he's built for.
So this rapid ball movement from the back half that just got going there for about 15 minutes is the Dogs have done a great job to hold him up here. Jamie Elliott sort of looms as the most dangerous, but they can't get it to him at the moment.
So there's only a slow switch at this stage. He hung it up for a while, but no sign of panic from Jeremy Howe. Dogs lead by 8 as Moore's next. Hard lead out on the wing, provided by Lockie Schultz, and the kick was on, and there was margin for error, but not much. A poke attempt from Richards, trying to equalise the numbers. Howe tries to skip through Pendlebury. Unbelievable how he changed the game to the Dacoses, and then forward to McStay. Out of nowhere, Collingwood are going to have a shot for goal, and it's all on the back of the genius that is Scott Pendlebury. Never retire.
Point in the back of his head, Jace.
He just threw it over the shoulder, didn't he?
He knew where
Look
it
at
was.
that.
Who knew where Nick Dacos was, who knew where Josh Dacos was, who knew where McStay was. They were stuck. The Footscray done a fantastic job of holding that ball and turning it over until in stepped Pendlebury.
And on the end of it all, Mason Cox making his return maybe a week or so earlier than expected. Sends it on its way, but not really anywhere near he was hoping.
It's a bad miss, Mason Cox. I mean, there's an opportunity for Mason Cox tonight, and there's going to be competition for those tall forward places now. With McStay coming in and Menry being recruited, Meyer checks out injured tonight. He's going to take his chances.
Gallagher was used on the previous kick in, and so he is again. Darcy's going to go against Plenty. Underfoot, it's held.
One of them was Jeremy Howe.
I know we can get carried away with Sam Darcy, but just then, how and more were his direct opponents, and he got at the ground and they get a stoppage.
Pendlebury picked off this time by Liberatore. Dogs get a look more. Just have to whack it away from Darcy.
He's had a couple of good moments too, Darcy. He's had his hands full all night with Sam Darcy, but he's also fought back reasonably well.
So Darcy Moore had a period of time away from Sam Darcy, but they are pitted against each other once more. Dogs in attack, arms on the fly, English, fed it up, Sanders, Liberatore. There we go.
Massive. Loved his game. Loved everything about him. He's been combative.
He's going to use it short. They weren't quite ready for it. Darcy had to make the spoil. Houston, Pendlebury. Houston again. Trouble. Got it away. Quaynor almost overwhelmed. Richards got a hand in. Dogs wouldn't mind just holding this up a fancy. High contact. They'll give it away. Quaynor's ball.
So 3 goals each for the quarter, 7-point margin.
Yeah, they would love to get Bobby Hill involved. They'd love to get the ball into Jamie Elliott's area, Mason Cox to find a bit of footy. They've been dominated by their defenders.
No one really got any height leaping, but Cox didn't need to drag it down. That'll make him feel better. And the instant give was to Schultz, who threads the kick through. Dogs looked well placed, but Duray needed all his skill to deny Elliott the first time, and then he maybe just rushed his hand the second and gives away the free to the dangerous number 5 of Collingwood. There's a plethora of deep options all calling for it. McStay is the most prominent. Tagoe is down there as well. The set-up kick was wobbly in flight. Cox threatened in the air. Tagoe likewise underneath all of that. And then the mass of bodies around the footy.
That's a big tackle. Tagoe charging through, just gets stopped in his tracks with a big man.
Dangerous ball. Tagoe got it to boot. Long cut it off. Just kicked it away in a hurry. I don't think you get away with that.
A little brain fade there from the big fellow who's had such a great night. He was still the goalkeeping, so he stopped the goal, but it's one of the first of one of his few mistakes.
Stopped the goal, but gave them a corner.
Paddy Lipinski, 4th season as a Magpie after 5 with the Dogs. Premiership player with Collingwood. Lipinski gives it a look. Give it a look. It's drawn to the post tonight. That's 4 times into the woodwork.
He asked the ball to do a lot there, didn't he, to get back, and it wasn't far off. His head shaking like the post as he gets back into position. Bramble guides it to Lobb, who is everywhere it seems tonight. You can't miss him.
He's also been kicking it magnificently tonight.
6 the boot into that. Western unlikely target. Howe arrived late. Too late as it turned out. The umpire said it'd take forever to call that over the line. Both teams take the opportunity to make some interchanges. Norton waiting to get back for the Bulldogs. Dale is back out there though to run off half-back, and he's orchestrating the setup around this throw-in. He's the extra at the back of the pack if it goes Collingwood's way, which it threatens to now, but bypass to Goey. Liberatore, Perryman, side bottom, Richards. Tough going for Hill, look for the free, and he might get it. An advantage taken in an instant by Nick Dacos, who looks to create to McStay, but Carlos was thinking a kick ahead. That's what he has to do in that roll across half-back.
He'll use Williams. The Dogs in to go the warm side of the ground. Duray sets up. Vandermeer's the long target. That's where the kick goes. It should arrive before Lipinski. Sanders is running for Davidson, I beg your pardon, running forward. Kick set very close to the boundary. Too far.
It's just getting towards the end of a really tough, hard-running half of footy, and a couple of mistakes are opening up here.
Long Josh Dacos, Perryman, unscientific turnover. Williams turns his way around to go. Good move. Thomas to the outside hand. McNeil. Norton's the wide target. He can gather on the bounce and have a look. They do have shorts on. He won't use them. Liberatore instead. Scunge the kick coming forward. Gave them no chance.
See, that was a horrible decision in the end from Tom Liberatore. Had options. He picked out the lone Collingwood defender.
An aggressive line, and there's a clear path to goal. McStay has the forward 50 to himself for now. Big Mason's got to lean down and put it on, and he did. McStay to Membry. All the big M's in. Oh, no, made a mess of it.
Well,
A big M mess.
unforgivable, really. There are too many options.
He tried to do the right thing and pass it to Membry and shanked it.
Drowned in honey.
What a let-off.
Big let off. Footscray continued to lead. Howe put his fist through the footy of the contest with Darcy.
So the last 2-3 minutes, there's just been options everywhere. They're just the fatigue kicks in, and the skill execution goes, and you miss golden opportunities like that. There may be one more in this last minute. Just got to be able to execute under fatigue.
Dogs by 5. Have led for almost the entire half. Nick Dacos underneath. Hand pass went nowhere. Darcy put it straight back into that jumble. Schultz opens the play up to De Goey. Then a bit of traffic come to him. Spreads hoping for Josh Dacos. Gallagher had other ideas.
Did really well, Gallagher would read what was happening there. Cut off the outlet hand pass and force the stop. It's been a fun first half to watch. Momentum shifts. Exciting.
Has met a tremendous sense of occasion.
Looked like Craig McRae's enjoying it too much down there.
That last kick he didn't enjoy too much.
Underfoot, a late chance. Nothing for Davidson.
So it sits at 33 points. Collingwood 3 goals 4 for the quarter. Bulldogs 3 goals 3. Collingwood a tall head of the ball. Mismatch with Mason Cox and Gallagher. There'll be a foot at least in that. Dacos to go, but spinning where the ball ain't. Sanders suffered the same fate. Perryman a loose ball. Liberatore doesn't miss many. Davidson and Harms sort out who's doing what. Harms was collecting an awkward handball to Davidson. It's been a taxing quarter and it's showing late. Darcy Moore still has the energy to leap and mark. The time will win out here. The siren sounds. Tremendous contest at the MCG. This inexperienced and much younger Western Bulldogs lineup. 3 years on average, younger, 70 games less experience. Playing as Footscray and playing with that old Footscray spirit, Jason, from what we've seen. It looked as if the worm had turned, but they really dug in.
I think momentum shifted a number of times. The Bulldogs early, then Collingwood had control. The Bulldogs got back into it, and then Collingwood came at them again late. But if you have a look at possessions, inside 50s, clearances, everything's basically level. And that's what we've got pretty much on the scoreboard. It's been an entertaining first half. Both teams have had their moments, and really the difference is who's going to take their opportunities when they present, because they're both getting them.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the Magpies just looking to come together. Darcy Moore demonstrative as he walked backwards with all his group ahead. There's the Bulldogs. They'd be very pleased, the Footscray team tonight, with Sam Darcy. It's hard not just to constantly sing his praises, Jason.
He looks like he's going to be a superstar. He gives every impression, and his first half is the reason the Bulldogs are leading on the scoreboard.
The Pies mean business. I think they might have just brushed Ruby down there on the way off.
We saw Tim Membry kick 4 last week for the Pies. He's only had the 1 touch, no score tonight. And at the other end, Aaron Norton finding life tough, although he's competing hard.
All right, can they maintain the rage? Our expert panel to dissect the first half when we return.
You're watching Friday Night Footy on Fox.
All right, folks, we will be back with the commentators, give it a little bit of analysis of their opening half of this game. Tell you what, well, this game has certainly stepped up another level since quarter time. Tell you what, there's been some swings to both sides in this game, both sides having their chances, but not taking them. Wow, I tell you what, if this continues, we're in for a cracking game for the second half here, whereas the Bulldogs leading by 5 points over the Magpies. The Bulldogs kicking 3 goals, 3 in that second term. The Magpies 3 goals, 4. I tell you what, it's a ripping game. Darcy Moore, they said it. They said it. He's a star for the Bulldogs. He's a star for the Bulldogs. And don't worry about that. Lob is doing very well down backline. Liberatore having a good second term there as well for the Doggies. I tell you what, it's a cracking game, folks. Don't go anywhere. Hey, don't forget, by the way, don't forget to vote who you think will win this game. We've got a few votes in already. 60% say Collingwood, 40% say the Western Bulldogs, or as Footscray they were known back 100 years ago. Of course, the Bulldogs celebrating their 100 years in football, AFL, VFL, AFL. Well done, Doggies. I tell you what, this is a cracking game. Let's head over and have a look at some of these player stats. What do you reckon, folks? This is going to be interesting. First off, we're going to look at the goals. And if you have a look, there is one multiple goal scorer on the ground. But who other than, of course, Sam Darcy there for the Bulldogs. He's kicked 3. Well done, Sam. Tell you what, he's tearing them apart all around the ground. Vandermeer is a single goal scorer. McNeil, Harms and Harms, the other single goal scorers there for the Western Bulldogs. And of course, for the Magpies, it's Schultz, McStay, Houston, and Bobby Hill. And Jamie Elliott has all single goal scorers for the Magpies. What a game we've got here. It is just a cracker. Before we have a look at the disposal count, if you play the AFL fantasy game, there is your leading player on the ground. Sam Darcy, 67 points. Lockie Schultz, 60. Richards, 59. Nick Dacos, 53. The rest under that. Disposal count, let's have a little bit of a look at those before we have a quick look at the team stats and get back to the commentators for their analysis of the opening half. Tom Liberatore, well, there we go. Little Tom Liberatore, he's having a great game tonight. He's tops the table with 18 disposals. He's had 8 kicks, 10 handballs, 7 clearances. He's having a good one. Nick Dacos, of course, leading the way for the Magpies. 17, he's getting right back into the game. He's having a good game so far. 6 kicks, 11 handballs, a mark, 2 tackles, 4 clearances, and that one behind. Ed Richards, next best for the Doggies on 15. And the old boy, Scotty Pendlebury on 14, next best for the Magpies. Josh Dacos up to 12. Darcy Moore up to 10. DeGoey not bad on 10. There we go. Hang on, stay tuned, folks. We'll get back to the commentator. We'll get back down there where Braden Maynard is having an interview.
I'm still thinking about what happened, but I guess that was just the start of the game and had to get the boys up and about. So, I didn't forget what happened, but we've got to move on.
He's running pretty hot at the moment. How do you look to nullify him?
Is he? I mean, he's keeping couple, but I feel like we're doing what we need to do. It's a tight game. It's pretty quick, so we've got to sort our whole forward line, not just him. But, I guess it's playing well.
Get in there. Good luck the rest of the game.
Thanks, lot.
Welcome to Friday Night Footy on Fox. It's brought to you by Industry Super Farms, and when it comes to super, there is only one symbol to look for. What a cracking game.
Great game.
It is an absolute belter.
Absolutely. Adrenaline charge, wasn't it? And it was seesawing as well. High pressure game. Fantastic to watch.
I think the Dogs' energy right from the get-go was excellent. They got out to that early lead and they really challenged Collingwood to find a way back. But that second quarter was seesawing and all over the place. And Sam Darcy just jumps off the oval, doesn't he? What he's doing is remarkable.
He's the Harvey Norman. He's the Harvey Norman highlight of the whole half game from where I sat. I thought he was absolutely superb. His quality opponent in Darcy Moore, Jeremy Howe, had to have a crack at him. It started beautifully for him. He got his free kick and kicked the first goal of the game inside the first 30 seconds. But it was his contested marking up on the wing, Geordie, which just sets him apart.
Well, I mean, he's a really difficult matchup, obviously, because of the size and strength. But with up here talking about the way that he times his run, really holds his opponent off and times the jump to perfection. I think the other thing that he's added to his game, well, one of the things that I didn't necessarily know is his left and right foot. Some of his foot skills shown in the first half were outstanding, like a midfielder.
Well, Darcy Moore went off after he lost this contest. Came back on Norton, had 2 really good contests to finish the second quarter. Interested to see how he responds in the second half.
Yeah, so I think as a captain, you've got to go back to him, right? The dominant player on the ground. He's kicked 3 goals already. I think Darcy's got to take responsibility. We'll talk about Reece McInnes not being there in a moment. But we're just seeing the emergence of an absolute rock star.
He took 5 contested marks in their game last year when he absolutely ripped the game apart and put the competition on notice. Tonight he's got 4 at half time.
Yeah.
4 contested marks. You'd be happy as a key forward you took that for the game.
And he was taking him against a quality opponent in more than one on most occasions. I thought Tom Liberatore's ability to inject himself at a time when Collingwood had a really good 15-minute patch, and I reckon he just said, right, let me get to work.
Well, no Bontempelli, no Treloar, and you've got Fraser in there, who's a defender, who's played 3 or 4 quarters as a midfielder at AFL level. So who's going to stand up and who's going to be the consistent player in there? And Tom Liberatore is that. He is an A-grade midfielder. He's an in and under player. He has been able to get his hands dirty in tight, but he's underrated for his use both by hand and foot, left or right foot. He finds targets, and he's been as busy as anyone in the first half.
He's found some space on the outside, which is a credit to his game. You're right, the balance of inside-outside tonight, I think it feels like it's one of those games that's about to break open. Whoever can utilise that space outside the contest can really get a hold of them.
Yeah, I thought Ed Richards and Kennedy were great as well, so it started to win it back from a forward half point of view, the Footscray Footy Club.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, they started to win the contest, guys. Their pressure's been fantastic all night, but when it just looked like Collingwood were going to start to slip away with it, Bulldogs fought back harder. They started winning contests. Very good in the air they were. Obviously at ground level, and they backed that up with pressure, and that created the forward half intercept.
Well, that gave them a chance. Those 6 forward half turnovers gave them a little bit of territory, so they put some pressure on the Collingwood back 6. But the pressure across the field, absolutely, from both sides has been pretty impressive.
This was early, wasn't it?
Well, this was Collingwood's ability in the first quarter to be able to hold the Dogs and turn the ball over in the front half and get some field position for themselves. This is how they got themselves back into the game on the scoreboard in the first quarter.
Yeah, it really was. And we spoke about that pre-game, their forward half intercepts or forward 50 turnovers are fantastic. So it was a very good effort there by the Pies. But then look at the Dogs' pressure. Ends up in a Collingwood free kick eventually. But that is the Bulldogs' pressure that we've seen for most of the night.
Yeah, so left the screen and see where we've seen most of the territory battle. And that's been the turnovers that both Collingwood got in the first quarter and Footscray in the second quarter. But have a look at that there. That's what we've seen. Even though you feel like it is an open game, and if you can put 2 or 3 possessions together in tight, you will find space outside. The pressure has beaten the clean hands inside. We're largely on both sides, and that's made it a great game to watch.
So I think just looking at that just quickly, second half, long handballs and short kicks will break open that congestion and hopefully get a bit more space.
That pressure gives you the ability to win the footy back through the middle of the ground too. So between the arcs there for a period of time, Collingwood dominated, and it wasn't until Footscray were able to get some forward territory to relieve this sort of pressure. For a period of time, it was an issue.
Yeah, so I think it's got a lot to do with Darcy. When he's not marking it on the wing, they found it hard to really transition the ball through that period. And I think the defenders are being a little bit more aggressive with their positioning. We saw Maynard come up, Howe come up. So they're really prioritising that position rather than the deep forward.
No hard tag on anyone, really, and especially not Nick Dacos. Have you seen his game?
No, he was quiet in the first 10 minutes of the first quarter, wasn't he? And then he just went bang, bang. He had about 7 or 8 touches in 5 minutes. And that coincided with Collingwood kicking the next 4 goals, guys, and obviously dragged them back into the game.
But I don't think the lack of a hard tag has meant that he's been damaging. Like he's been part of a midfield, 3 on either side that have had good numbers. I'd say that Ed Richards and Libera have done as much damage with the ball in hand as Nick Dacos has. So because there has been so much pressure on the ball, he hasn't been able to elevate himself above other midfielders on the field in this first half. But you keep giving him 16, 17 touches in the second half, I think he will.
Only 30% by foot, so that's right. Probably going on what you're saying.
Yep.
Got your opportunity to vote for your own KFC finger-licking good MVP, so get involved there.
Darcy by a fair way.
By a fair way at the moment.
Yeah, one thing I picked up in the first half, you pay the price when you're trying to move magnets. So they've taken Bailey Williams off the wing. As we see here, Jones has played on the wing. He's a 15-game player who's played largely forward. The wing role suits him in transition, but at stoppage, he's just not sweeping that contest well enough, and Collingwood got through the front. The Bulldogs reacted in the second quarter We saw McNeil and Harms take that wing roll, and Jones went back forward, but they've sacrificed that wing roll in some ways to make sure they've got a good solid back six, and they've shored up their midfield. But Luke Beveridge is having to shuffle the deck chairs in some way to buffer some of their weaknesses and try and maximise their strengths.
Outstanding work, man, as always. Reece McInnes, they got their hands full with Sam Darcy. They know we're all defenders on deck. Reece McInnes was out of action early. Johnny Ralph, what can you tell us?
Well, innocuous is the dirtiest word when it comes to these knee injuries, and unfortunately for Reece McInnes, subbed out about 10 minutes into this contest. It does seem to fit the bill. So Collingwood tells me only at this stage that it is a right knee injury. No further details on that one, but his knee did seem to crumple under him. Now, he'll have done those structural integrity tests in the rooms with the Collingwood doctors. They're about 70 or 80% effective. He wasn't back out onto the field, or rather onto the bench at all. And so it goes without saying he is their young star key back, playing on the likes, of course, of Darcy. They have the likes of Billy Frampton waiting in the wings there and Charlie Dean, but you know, they put so much investment into him over the summer. So a buy ahead, and then you'd like to think Charlie Curnow or Harry Mackay. There'll be some fears in the Collingwood rooms right now for Reece McInnes. We'll keep you up to date as that information comes to hand.
So it puts a bit of pressure. So Darcy more clearly.
It changes things. McInnes would have been set for him all week, would have done the work on him. So obviously for more to get thrown on him at late notice, even though he is the captain, it is a change. So
that changes Jeremy Howe's role.
It does, absolutely. So he can't have as much effect. He has to have a bit more of a defensive mindset. And obviously Darcy was able to get away.
But even if McInnes was set for him, he's probably the fourth best player on a key forward. You've got Moore, Howe, and then you've got Maynard who can play those roles. So I think that Collingwood should be able to shuffle that. Obviously we're hoping that the injury isn't too bad, but Collingwood have got enough people to be able to cover.
Just quickly, maybe not an old-fashioned dragging, but do you think that the message was sent out to Darcy Moore, come off the field and have a word with the coach?
They look safer. When he came back on and he was on Norton, they did look more stable in defence.
I'd love to see the vision. I'd love to see the vision to see what that conversation was, because Darcy Moore was dropping off too much, and it's been a consistent part of his game. He needs to improve it. The last two contests were better, but let's have a look at the second half.
For industry super funds, what are we looking forward to? I'll just go quickly then over to you, Geordie. So Aaron Norton's got to grab this opportunity. He's the one. So Darcy's red hot, given all sorts of problems. Aaron Norton's the one who's now going to go, okay, let me start taking these opportunities. What about you?
Yeah, for me it's to go. We're just watching him. He's been on Bailey Dale and a few other opponents. He just looks like he's got a lot of space forward of the ball. So when we talk about the pressure in the contest, he's getting forward with no opponent. So in this second half, for me, that's a watch. He could potentially break this game open.
Righto, our stage is set. It's been a fantastic first half of footy. The margin is just 5 points back in the big second half. Super Saturday. Don't forget, if you want to watch live footy, the only place to get it, the best call, the best action, Super Saturday Live, right here on Fox.
You're watching Friday.
All right, folks, while they're on a break, let's head back. Let's go back down to these stats for your favourite player. You can have a look and see who's going where and what stats they have so far in the game. Down to Sam Davison there for the Doggies on 9. Bailey Williams on 8. Who else have we got there? Lockie Schultz for the Magpies, 8 disposals, 5 kicks, 3 handballs, 3 marks, 6 tackles, 2 clearances. He's kicked a goal. He's having all right for what he's done so far. Harry Perryman, just the 7 disposals, 4 kicks. As I said, Lob's having a good game on him. Jamie Elliott there, just with the 7 disposals. 1 goal too, so not a bad little effort there. The other little star for the Maggies, still side bottom. He's having a quiet one. Just 3 kicks, 3 handballs. Needs to lift a little bit there. Who else have we got down there? Let's have a little bit of a look. Tim English, well, he's having a quiet game, isn't he, for the Doggies? Just the 5 disposals, 2 kicks, 3 handballs. He's had 4 tackles, 17 hit-outs and 2 clearances. They could certainly do with him up and firing a little bit more, as with Bobby Hill for the Maggies. Just the 4 touches, 1 goal. He needs to do a fair bit more. Tim Membry is the man that's getting towed up by Lob, is it? The backman for Footscray. Lob is absolutely dominating him at the moment. Let's have a quick look at the team stats. Let me just reload that up and we'll have a bit of a look. She's looking up. So, as I said, it's a pretty tight game, folks. It's a pretty tight game. Ebbs and flows, swings left and right. Both teams having their chances. Momentum swinging both ways. 167, 176. It's only 9 disposals in the game. Magpies +6 on the kicks, +3 on the handballs. Inside 50s, 22-27. Of course, the Doggies, 13 scoring shots for their 22 inside 50s, which is not too bad. And of course, the Magpies, 13 scoring shots. They've been inside 5 more times, 27 times, so both getting a good opportunity inside there. Disposal efficiency around the ground, not too bad, around about 72% for both teams. Going on about season's average there. Efficiency inside 50s could be a little bit higher for the teams. As I said, they're both not quite taking their chances when it comes. They should be hitting a few more goals, just missing some easier opportunities. Free kicks, well, there we go. Collingwood +6 in the free kick department, where the Dogs had that way in the opening quarter. The stoppages, everything pretty well even there. 2019 Dogs +1 in hitouts and clearances, +4 in the centre clearances. Doing a good job there by Tom Liberatore. And of course, stoppage clearances, the Pies by 3. Have a look at the contested possessions. It's a hard-fought, contested game. Uncontested, pretty similar, 95-104. Turnovers, well, that's just good pressure by both sides. Not as many turnovers from the Pies as the Dogs. There we go. Look at the marks. Have a look at that. 35-36, 7 each. Inside 50, contested 7-5, Dogs +2. And just have a look at the tackles. It should be around about similar, which it is, 30-34, +4 to the Pies. Pies +4 inside 50. All right, let's get back to the scoreboard. It's the Dogs leading by 5 points at half-time. The Dogs led by 6 at quarter, 5 by half. What's going to happen in the second half? I tell you what, we're in for a cracking game here, folks. The second half coming up in under a minute. So what I will do now is I'll take you back down to the ground for the final 45 seconds, and then the bounce of the ball will start the game for the second half.
I don't think there's anything to worry about.
That's the countdown to equalising their record with Jimmy Steins against Essendon in round 7, and then going past all things being equal in round 8 against Geelong.
It's a record I never thought would be broken under. And still may not. Touch wood. He's a good man.
He does. What about Sam Darcy, Jason? I mean, we've already waxed lyrical.
Yeah, we've sung his praises throughout the entire first half. I just hope we get to see this on a weekly basis. He has the potential to be the dominant big man in the competition, spending large chunks of time forward and then rotating through the ruck. But his ability to take contested marks, we've seen his field kicking on the left foot to be outstanding. His conversion, he's a natural right footer, has been great. So love what he's done.
So it's been a game of momentum and taking your chances. And we should be in for a stellar second half. Tom Liberatore, the acting captain tonight in the absence of the great Bont. And we're set to do it again in the third quarter. The Bulldogs taking in a 5-point advantage. English had to leap high to knock it out into the space. Fraser comes off the square, beat Josh Dacos to it. Richards the first kick away. Cameron had already backed back and made himself very useful through to Goey, and then Perryman's kick, Houston's kick floating wide. Oh, that's speaking wide. It's well wide out of bounds on the foot.
A couple of players that Collingwood like to see a bit more out of. We know that Jordan McGowan will work in the game. It's Bobby Hill, the one that can set them up. He just has had little or no influence at all. He's got to get busy. Luku Carlos on the restart. Darcy set himself and takes the mark in the middle, but
just gave a little push.
Well, he might have got away with one early, Jason. That would be the only reason there, because that looked pretty pure. Josh Dacos has got to go. Tries to roll one way, doubles back. Nurses the kick up behind, and Bramble made the score. Only Pretoria made the score.
Haven't seen a limit jump that high in a long time. Didn't see Tony get that high too often either.
He didn't need to. He was doing his best stuff at ground level.
But lock up again. Here is Liberatore. Always a viable option. through the fingertips of both Darcys on that occasion. Jim Norton did well to maintain all his composure and get out the other side, and then that ripping on to the right place by Darcy Moore.
That's a great effort, Hardo. Darcy Moore's effort there.
Absolutely. That's not so good. An invitation and an open one for West. Sam Darcy, what a way to bring up his fourth goal! No! It was too good to be true.
Well, singing the praises of Darcy Moore's efforts, he's second and third, and then he turns it over.
I literally put down the glasses.
Our let-off. Have they? Look, gift horses in the mouth. Both sides at that end. Pendlebury and Nick Dacos. The kick mark to create. Nick has assessed the whole field. Sets off looking for an idea. That's in vacant territory. That is Bramble. Hand pass to Duray. I think that is a massive win for Nick Dacos not to be able to find someone to hit. Just says that they're structurally set up really well, the Western Bulldogs. Lawler's going to try the expansive switch. McNeil is his target. Chris can't get there. McNeil rolls and goes up the line. Liberatore charging at the bouncing ball. Ran out of space.
Well, they can ill afford to lose Tom Liberatore. He's pulled up very proppy.
They got the push afterwards and into the plastic chair. And a high contact and advantage leverage by McCreary and Pendlebury and Josh Dacos. Goes long, hunting McStay, Carmus in front, back up to Ray, bounces, shoots his way. He teased and then he finished. Just for a bit of emphasis. Schultz ties things up in the MCG. 6-8 apiece. And the best might be still yet to come.
It's a great finish by Schultz. Luke Carlos feels very hard done by. He went rushing over the umpire saying, what about the push in the back? He got a good shove. One hand down low in the middle of the back from Dan McStay, but it was enough to get him out of the contest. And that allowed the ball to drop down. Have a look at this angle. That's a good old shove from McStay, but he gets away with it, and then Schultz does the rest. Evades a couple of would-be tacklers, kicks the goal, and we're back where we started. Scores level.
Third time it's been all tied up. Dogs were as far as 22 points up early. Collingwood have only led once by a goal. The ebbs and flows of a Friday night. Liberatore roves, got it to English. Kennedy kept the hands free. Gallagher's job to send the Dogs forward. Arms did okay from behind. No, he didn't. He went over the shoulder. Josh Dacos to Nick on the advantage. Flip over the top to Pendlebury. Time to give it back to Nick in full flow. Delivers to full forward. McStay set himself. Karma's got revenge. McCreary underneath. McDreamy. Collingwood hit the lead.
Well, there's your MO right there. This is Collingwood at their absolute best. So just repeating last week, 99 points from turnover, they win the ball back, and then from the back half, look at this. This is just pure. And when you got Dacos to Pendlebury, something good generally happens. And he's smart enough to go back to Dacos. Look at Carmus's defensive actions have been great. He gets it to ground, McCreary's there front and square. So this has got a bit of a look about it. This is Collingwood charging out of the back half here, and the Dacos boys involved. So a little bit of few warning bells going off here. There's no hard tag on Nick Dacos, hasn't been all night. He's up to 20 possessions. He hasn't ripped it to shreds. We've spoken about Liberatore and Richards and Kennedy for the Dogs, but you are just on high alert right now. Semple back in the middle. English, the tap over the top. Liberatore, long, kept him to account. Fraser gave and got it back, and that's got more system about it. Liberatore, Darcy looming already. Well, this is... It's going to be a joy for you guys to call it for the next 10 years, but Liberatore involved in the middle. So talking about Dacos one way, this is why they're not tagging, because they're getting enough out of Dacos and Richards. And when you mark it at the highest point like this, good luck.
Clean hands on every grab.
I've never seen anyone take it at the highest point available so regularly as Sam Darcy. And you think of what he can do in the future. But right now he's lining up for his 4th goal.
Is it the post again?
Something about the posts at that end of the ground. It's a couple of huge letters.
He could be building a big bag tonight.
He could be building a big contract. I think he just recommitted, didn't he? They got him cheap. 3 goals to them, both have hit the posts. McStay presents. Stand by. This is the transition. So this is the starting point that's got the danger signals for the Dogs, and it's in the hands of the danger man.
There's Nick Dacos and there's Tom Liberatore that's the closest opponent standing the mark. So you weigh up the impact that those two have, Gaz, head to head.
No easy path to work this time, so a long kick up the line. Membry set himself, English the spoil. Crisp underneath, tied up round and round, given a lot of time. Membry squeezes the kick up toward the 50, off the hands of McStay. The duel is on and the Dogs hold up. Gallagher needs a target, that's not 15, oh, it was Pater's 15. Karmas works it away to Williams. Darcy and Norton are outnumbered. Norton flew the flag and got the free kick. That's much better. He's got to come to the party now, Aaron Norton. He's got to provide the support. Liberatore running for all he's worth. He is the heart and soul of it tonight. Slips the hand pass in board. Dale's the man who can find a target. Darcy leaps. Moore did enough. Held up with it. Goalmouth stoppage coming.
Bailey Dale, though, he didn't even just think, he just kicked it somewhere near Sam.
It's gonna be a very easy bailout kick when you're further afield for the Dogs.
Underneath Fraser, Orchard clear, pack forms. Try again.
McRae, a few headaches, but now it's Luke Beveridge's turn as the Pies are in front for the 2nd time tonight. Cameron has his way, but the handball is a bit wayward.
What a great challenge for Darcy Moore. The Monday defender, they get good looks at it because there's an outnumber and an overlap. This is a good old-fashioned challenge right at your feet here with the hottest player on the ground as your opponent.
Ruxgarter first with English front position. And Richards in behind Lipinski. Kept tabs all the way to the 50. Fluky ball to Fraser. Tries a Pendlebury blind handball. Work 2. Dale to the goal square. Had to wait a long time, English. Hung in the air for too long, perhaps. Side bottom tidied up. They did it impressively. Maynard's kick too tall for Cox, so you know it was tall. At the back, it's Gallagher. Leaving way for Lobb. And Williams being pushed backwards, but he did well, kept his head. Used Lobb. Not the ideal handball for Bramble. Pressure. Ran out of Trent at just the wrong time. And the pool was relentless. That's a bit untidy.
I think they might have got the free kick.
Yeah.
So there was great forward pressure, or pressure in their forward half then from Collingwood.
Lobb is not there, hasn't got up yet.
It did look agricultural, this.
Just
Over
loaded
the
up
ribs
now.
last week. It's well over the boundary. Yep, on the hard surface. To go to Pendlebury. Dogs have pushed their numbers back. Pendlebury looks for the short, which is on. Chris presents. It'll be vigilant inside the arc in defence. Keep the Pies out, Josh Dacos. Put numbers around the perimeter. Long presented, but not 15. Had to get it off quickly. Right to the teeth of goal as a result. Everybody reaches. Elliott stayed down. Lipinski double back. Away to Schultz. Squirts at a goal. Off hands. Cameron couldn't haul it in. 1 goal lead. Collingwood's lead.
2 goals to 2 behinds for the quarters so far. Bailey Dale, pretty aggressive line. English at 10 metres to himself, and now he's going to have 50 closer to goal to help matters. Bulldogs are in a bit of a rush too to try and utilise this. Darcy loping along about 70 metres ahead. The kick going in the Norton direction. It was well thought through and well executed, and Aaron Norton will be on the long shot here.
Good vision from the big man for the Dogs, because Aaron Norton had pushed back hard and he was waving his arms because he'd beaten his man back. They just had to get the ball in quickly, and English was able to see that.
Doesn't think he can. His eyes probably give away that he's doubtful. pokes for English, and it was only a beat away from coming off. The prize defenders celebrate the denial, and it's over and out.
It was the right kick. Tim English has to mark that. That's there for him to grab. He's got to make that his ball. And then it's a regulation little snap around the corner from the pocket.
Who's going to provide the danger underneath? Maynard, the handball back into the maze. Howe, bit of holding. And that relieves the pressure and the tension.
The Norton mark is important though too, Chief, because so much attention now goes to Darcy. He's going to get one-on-one looks. Moore bounds along. Kicks for Membry or Elliott. Membry across the front. Dogs are scrambling back to defend. Elliott's will be the link kick. He's changed his mind as the Dogs did flood their numbers deep. Lipinski for the shallow entry to Schultz. It was well worked in the end. It was good defence initially from the Western Bulldogs.
They had a lot of goal side, didn't they?
They did, and they pushed back really hard, and then inevitably someone has to hit back up.
But that's a good result.
Yeah.
You're going to concede it 48 metres out on a tight angle. That's a good result defensively.
Ricky Schultz has kicked 2 already. Live wire forwards, purpose recruited. He won't have that kick in him. Goes for Cameron, hands to it. So Ruckman at either end couldn't quite take their marks. Dale out the side to Williams. Over the top to Davidson, who absorbed the tackle. They got worked out over the down. So the pressure in their first half was up around 200. It was, both teams were outstanding. Just come off for the Dogs. 153 this quarter. Just backed off. And the Magpies are up over 200. And they're pushing. This is the push from the Poles.
And they're still hard at it. They've been rewarded with a couple of goals. They come again to go. He was threatening. Handball force-fed to Frazier from Davidson. Sky ball, Harms knew he had to fly, so did Sanders. Side bottom and Long in the vicinity. They get their heads on the footy. Long starting as the sub. Will almost have a full game. Just a scrambled ball. End on end and out on the foot. Looks like he belongs now at the level line then, Long. The ref will get a story from earlier in the night. Fingers crossed. Kick goes out to the lead. Cox, unencumbered, springs up like a young man and takes the mark. Exuberant is the big American.
Couple of turnovers in all the right places, the Pies. Cox will give them some marking practice deep. Elliott went early. Underneath McNeil, stripped to the footy. Elliott committed himself, got caught, got it away in the nick of time. So the Dogs trying to hold up. Lunging tackle, May holding the ball, Long intervened.
This is gold. This is manna from heaven if you're a Magpies fan or coach. Balls living in your half, repeat entries, pressures outstanding up into the 220 mark, and then you get a chase down tackle 35 metres out directly in front. It's perfect. Just wearing the Bulldogs. The Footscray had the answer all night. They've been able to come back into the game. This will be the biggest margin if he's able to convert this.
He's a rookie who's had to earn his place. First at Hawthorn, now at Collingwood. He's growing into the idea. Ned Long from long range. No goods. Nice by set.
Both teams have been a little wasteful at times with some of these opportunities, and it might come down to who is the most accurate that wins this contest. You just don't think there's going to be a breakaway team.
Dale with his trademark precision a couple of times. The hesitation almost cost Sanders. He had the wheels to get out, and then a fumble from Jones complicates things. Calmers though to half forward, West in front. Is there some interference from Josh Dacos? No, said the umpire. Howe bounds away. And the channel through the middle of the MCG opens up to Pendlebury and Howe. A little game of their own for a moment. Forward hands to Nick Dacos. Kicks towards Elliott. Ever dangerous. Lob a bit of a mismatch. Had to fight 1-on-2. Fight he does. It's towed away by Hill. Whe'll catch our breath. Elliott back to McCreary. Around the perimeter and then inside again. All dropped. Inexplicably. Lipinski.
That is let off again. This swarm off the back half. It's got a really dangerous look about this for the Dogs right now.
Walton has to ruck against Cox. As predicted, Cox won the tap. Dale does well. to Fraser. Dolan in front of Josh Dacos. Leaps early, keeps his feet and his wits about him. Now goes to ground. Got the help from Vandermeer he needed. Lipinski up over the top to try and crowd the house a little more. Houston on the scene, the Dogs with their own tackling pressure. And we have a stalemate.
Pressure might be on the Dogs, Gaz, but this Rory Lobb's playing his heart out at the back. Another hand in. He's playing tall, he's playing small, you name it, he's doing it.
Nick Dacos, beautiful hands, away to Pendlebury and then to Lipinski. Got his target in Membry. So makes amends for the mark that he drops and sets up the shot of goal.
Yeah, and this is the man we spoke about at half time. Barely got into the contest, just the 3 possessions. He kicked 3 in the first quarter last week, 4 for the game. It's an opportunity to get the Pies off and rolling. But
he was free to a good home. 298 career goals. Tim Membry to build on Collingwood's lead. Threading the angle, not enough juice. And Lobb is there to deny.
So, 9 inside 50s to 4. Just can't get field position here, the Dogs. Got to be able to get it out of their back half. This pressure here has been outstanding.
Dale back to Liberatore and they thrust forward again. They're on the back foot, but well won in the end by Davidson. Jones and Dolan, they get to half forward. Pies happy to shepherd it towards and ultimately over the line with Riley West.
Let's go down to Johnny Ralph on the boundary. Ralphie?
The Collingwood fears that Reece McGuinness has a suspected ACL. Scans tomorrow, but that would be a shattering blow. And of course, a season-ending blow for Reece McGuinness.
Yeah, hard to follow that with words that are meaningful at all, but all the best, obviously, to Reece McGuinness. Just finding his way as a defender. Thank you for that, Ralphie. Collingwood lead by 6. Cox. Free kick off ball, going to Dacos.
Nick to Josh, the favoured move and up to side bottom. Delivers the Pies to Membry. Across the front came Dale. Wins his own ball, ran flat bang into a dead end. Able to release it. Bramble lent a hand and Williams trying to find a way. Liberatore, what's up ahead of the ball? He uses Dolan. 4 on 4 inside the 50. Now the numbers all flood back. Dolan is giving it up.
It's a horrible kick. You have the hot hand in Darcy, 1-on-1 with Darcy Moore. Just whack it up in the area.
Dacos controlling the direction and the tempo of things. Houston has been relatively well curtailed by the Dogs. He's playing it here for Schultz. Williams brought it to ground. Schultz pushes it over for a throw.
Footscray just need to watch the tempo they're playing at. They're a high play-on team. They want to give the handball a seize and put speed on the ball, particularly when Sam Darcy is running as hot as he is in the forward line. But at times it's playing into Collingwood's hand and they're getting them on the rebound. They need to learn when to take the tempo out of the game and hold on to possession.
Thanks, Ruby. Two-time All-Australian FLW star. Ruby Slicer, part of Friday Night Footy on Fox Footy. Liberatore, no choice but to go slow here. Williams, they're experienced players, they do have it. Carrying an enormous load now, aren't they, for Footscray? Side bottom and the cut and thrust of it all. Who's got the energy to come up with something meaningful? Another dead end. Treading water. Dale possesses the weaponry into the middle of Fraser. And suddenly there is a way forward for Gallagher. McNeil's got goal side. They'll have to go via Vandermeer. West continues to run and run and run. And slide.
When you are struggling to transition the ball, give it to Bailey Day.
Yes, correct. Correct. You just need someone that's got the composure to sum up the right option, and he finds that loose target in the middle. Then the game opens right up. All the pressure's been drawn in, the space behind, but who can make that decision to find the kick into the space?
21 games last year, easily the most he's played in a season. Quite not numbers-wise, but always working hard. Bulldogs have struggled to hit the target in this quarter, and they turn to a famous name, and Riley West delivers them with a goal. And they are back within 2 points, and back in this fight well and truly.
We've just spoken about conversion. That is an exceptional finish from a very tight angle. They need to make the most of these because the opportunities are drying up, Gats.
Yeah, well, they are in terms of getting the ball into the dangerous part of the ground. But I think what we just saw there, this game's been played at a ferocious tempo, and we're still early on in the.
Has to open up at some stage.
And it will. And look at on this fast break here. The first kick that we've alluded to there, the Bailey Dale. After that, there are gaps everywhere. So it's about who's executing. This quarter, Nick Dacos leading possession winner on the ground. So now he's starting to find it. If he gets too much footy, there'll be holes everywhere as this game wears on. So Bailey Dale, Nick Dacos, all the good ball users.
2-point ball game. Nick Dacos on the fly up the side. West did just enough to keep it legal and ends up the footy as a result. Quaynor couldn't defuse it. Liberatore has worked tirelessly. Over to Sanders, needs somebody going by. Might have to go himself. Liberatore stayed. Moore jarred it clear. Dolan to the teeth of goal. Cameron's an immense figure. It was trapped down illegally.
They're felt by Harms. Of course, Bleed's completely innocent.
Kid's willing. It is willing all over the ground. Both sides to be complimented on the way they're going about this.
Darcy Cameron always gets back to help when he can. Sends a high ball in the crisp direction. He got first purchase on it. Claims the mark, and the umpire says, why not?
But nothing down the line here. Par for Lockie Schultz goes through.
Living life as a wingman now, crisp to Quaynor, and then to Schultz. And Dacos calls down the line, but for once is ignored. Schultz has grander plans. McStay flew with intent. There is Nick Dacos. Keeps them guessing. Fairly grandiose choice in the end. Handball to Pendlebury, trying to return the favour from earlier on, but all he did was set him up for quite a big fall.
Well, he's a victim of his own ability there, Scotty Pendlebury. If he gets wrapped up, it's a ball up because he had no prior. But he was good enough to get the arm free and look for a handball option. There was just no one there to support him.
Where would they be without this man, Bailey Dale? Possession number 20 coming up. He rarely wastes one. But on that occasion, he kicked it straight back to the opposing ruck.
Can't get a sustained period of attack, the Dogs. With deep breaths with 3 to go in the third term. Cameron gets right under it. English doubles back. Couldn't. Oh, and Membry gets the free kick.
Against Bailey Dale. He was trying to do the right thing and protect his man, but it's just a bit obvious.
Yeah, that looks a long time to pay.
Yeah, it did.
Membry will wind it up. McStay's the deep target. Elliott's a leaper. Carmus made the spoil ground ball. Houston hit it full on. Hampas didn't quite get to Hill. That's all right. It's with Sidebottom. The touch of class that has marked all of his days. In the frenzy, Sidebottom is steady and Collingwood have their 8-point lead.
He's as good as anyone in that situation. Steele Sidebottom. I've got to tell you, Lockie Bramble got the worst bounce you've ever seen. He was the one player that attacked the footy trying to cut it off. And you'll see a leg break here that would have made the great Shane Warne enviable. That just went sideways, straight into the hands of Steele Sidebottom. And he just doesn't miss when he's a little bit of time like that.
They are going to have to do this for this great team as if Luka Carmus continues to play. He's hard to read his spoiling. He doesn't spoil and drop it inside the 2 or 3 metre zone. He spoils and drops it 10 to 12 metres out. And it takes a bit of adjusting to from a crumbing point of view.
Needs a lot down there. And a big night for Steele Sidebottom. And his great mate Scott Pendlebury. Shared 2 premierships together and they dearly love another. To do that with their team at 1-1, this becomes a big victory for them if they can prevail. But the hands are all the Bulldogs and the method. Kennedy's kick is pretty good. Sanders had to fight hard against the man who loves the cut and thrust of it all in Maynard. He's there to receive it again, but Houston gets a little too cute and apologises to Braden Maynard instead of taking the risk-averse option.
Well, 27 points from back half chains, AFL average 18, so they need to do this, stop it in their half.
Harms. Norton is down there, the highest flyer was Howe. Moore controlled it. Josh Dacos. Lipinski, it's awkward. Pretty clever. Well summed up by Sidebottom and Co.
3 goals to 1 Collingwood's way in this term.
Come from 5 down to lead by 8.
Sam Darcy, 2 behind, the 2 posters. Just his 2 touches for the quarter could absolutely be vital.
Cameron nonchalant tap. Norton had it knocked out, no chance to create. Jammed in tight around the stoppage. The Dogs got a moment of inspiration. Lovely English to Norton. Right idea. West didn't quite handle it. Norton tries again. Pressure everywhere around him. Lipinski extracts. Josh Dacos so deft with the touch. Pendlebury has it. Sink up a little bit of time. Aborted the first mission. Goes long instead for Membry. Williams across the front. Those aerial contests are proving costly for a bit of the inexperienced Dogs.
Particularly giving away a free kick when you've got a 2-on-1. Critical.
Again, it just hangs high in the air, and first to read it was English. Pokey kick for Karmas. Renewed hope for the Bulldogs late in the quarter, although Karmas appears to be in absolutely no hurry whatsoever. Gets his breathing restored and now just places it down the line. He asks a lot of Norton. The Flyers are all Collingwood and they're all Spoil Sports. Look at how. It's 40 metres.
Yeah, well, he's all of a sudden his life has got different with Reece McInnes with the news that he's likely to be out for the year. So at the twilight of a magnificent career, he's probably going to have to assume a bit more responsibility.
Ball heads back towards English and Cameron. English got the jump down to West. Wriggle out of the tackle conclusively. So back in dispute. How Liberatore loves it. And so too does McCreary, who is going head-to-head and toe-to-toe there. Kennedy, all the handballs of Bulldogs, but they're all in a rush. And they all give up ground. And the Pies will take a draw and preserve their 8-point advantage. As we close in on the final break. Absorbing Friday night struggle. Huge crowd. Big occasion for Footscray as they are tonight. They are in for the scrap until the final siren. They get one last thrust. Is there a miracle late mark? No, there's not. So they'll have to come from behind, 8 points behind. They made the running tonight with the first 3 goals of the game, but gradually and steadily, Collingwood have wrested back control. And the game is very much up for grabs. It's an 8-point margin. And it's just a taste of what's ahead on the weekend. Of course, tomorrow, live and exclusive Super Saturday on Fox.
All right, there we go, folks. It's the Pies now by 8 points. Coming up to 3/4 time, the Western Bulldogs could only put on 1 goal, 2 in that third term. The Magpies, 3 goals, 3. Tell you what, this is anyone's game, anybody's game. As I said, the swings are still going both sides, both ways, even in that third quarter. Holy moly. Can the Bulldogs get over the line in their 100 years, or can the Magpies spoil the party and take out victory tonight? Let's just quickly go and have a look now at the goal scorers and the disposal getters, see what the count is at. Of course, Sam Darcy still leads the way with 3 goals. Riley West, Vandermeer, McNeil. Who else we got? Harms there for the Bulldogs with singles. And, of course, for the Magpies, Lockie Schultz, the only multiple goal scorer with 2. Still side bottom, McStay, McCreary, Houston, and Elliott, all single goal scorers, all going really, really well. Let's have a quick look at the disposal count before the game comes back for the final quarter. Liberatore continues to lead the way, continues to have a great game. Tell you what, he looks great, stuck in the centre in the midfield there for the Doggies. He's doing a great role. That's where he should be each week. 30 possessions as Tom Liberatore leading the table. 14 kicks, 16 handballs, 2 marks, a tackle, 9 clearances. One of his best games he's had for a long, long time. Nick Dacos continues to pile the possessions. He's up to 26 now. Looking for another big final quarter from him. 11 kicks, 15 handballs, 4 marks, 4 tackles, 6 clearances. Still just the one behind on the scoreboard. All right, let's roll down the board a little bit. We'll let you know who's doing what. Scotty Pendlebury up to 22. Bailey Dale up to 20, looking pretty good. Lipinski, Josh Dacos both on 19. Kennedy there for the Dogs on 16. We've got Jeremy Howe doing a fair bit of work with Chris down the back line there with 13 and 14. Brainer Maynard's up to 12. Rory Lobb continues to have a good game there for the Doggies. He's up to 12 possessions. A lot of spoils. He's doing his job. Sam Darcy, the star for the Bulldogs. You know what? It's going to be tough between the best player for the Doggies, Sam Darcy or Liberatore. You know, a lot of people focus on Sam Darcy, but I'll tell you what, some of the stuff Liber has been doing could nearly put him back in that aspect. Sam Darcy up to 12 disposals there. 9 kicks. He's kicked 3 goals, 2. A couple of posters. He probably should have kicked 5 straight. Thank goodness for the Magpie people. He's hit the post a couple of times. Just the 3 goals, 2. Jamie Elliott up to 11. Dan Houston up to 11. Let's continue down. Let's see who else we got. Tim English, 25 hitouts, the big man, 9 disposals for him. As we roll on down, Bobby Hill down there. Puff Dude, one of his goat. There we go. He's had a slow game. He's only had 5 disposals, 3 kicks, 2 handballs, 1 mark, and a couple of tackles. But he has slotted a sausage roll there. So let's hope Bobby Hill can get the forward line alight as well. Quick look at the team stats. Just a quick glance. There we go. So it's all pretty even. Only 8 the difference. Pretty sure that was what it was. Inside 50s, 32. Only 5 the difference. Pretty equal there in that third term. 16 to 19 scoring shots. Both teams getting it inside there and having plenty of chances. Free kicks, though, definitely going Collingwood's way. 12-26. Not too sure the Bulldogs fans will be happy out watching it or out on the ground. All right, let's head back down to the ground. They'll take us to the bouncer ball for the final quarter. A minute and a half out. It's the Magpies by 8 points. Who's going to win? Is it the Dogs going to make a comeback, or can the Pies extend the lead and put pay to the celebrations of the Bulldogs?
Gets that kick into the corridor that opens up the rest of the field. Now the Pies are forced to defend one-on-one. We know they want to track you in the forward half. They're going to be higher up the field. Riley West streaming into the pocket full pace and is able to put that score through for a goal. So that is the sort of play they need to shift the lanes. They need to get the Pies defenders moving across the field to really open up those other avenues to goals rather than, you know, just kicking it on Sam Darcy's head and trusting those keys to get to work. Bailey Dale, I know I mentioned him, 10 disposals that quarter. He had 10 disposals across the first 2 quarters, 10 disposals just that quarter, running at 90% efficiency.
Gaz, they really are relying and did rely that quarter on those experienced players they have. Liber had 12, Dale had 10, as Ruby said, and Williams had 6.
Well, it's this occasion where you're looking around now and you've got big name players out. And we're not surprised that man right there, Tony Liberatore, has the highest rated player on the ground. I think he's been absolutely superb.
I'm surprised Tony's the highest rated.
Tony's excited about his son Tom. So now what happens is this, as we said through the course of that third quarter, fatigue will kick in. It's been ferocious. The pressure's been enormous. So the ball users come into play. So Rubes has just pointed out the Bailey Dale kick. Dacos will become important. Josh Dacos, Houston, these ball users become so important. The big fella, don't ever forget that it's Sam Darcy. 2 posters. He should have 5 or 6 to his name already. He looms as the best way forward for the Western Bulldogs. Been a great game. Massive last quarter.
8-point margin. The Bulldogs story is one of resilience and perseverance. And this modern age is going to need all of that to turn this wonderful occasion into victory. Collingwood stand in their way. They'll chase the scoreboards. Into the final term we go on Friday night footy. English the opening tap. Arms did well to hold it up. Secondary stoppage. Ruckman dart back for a clean tap down to Richards. Dogs get a look. Darcy's the target. Brought it to ground. Howe read it ever so well off the hands. Finds safety for Schultz to leap out.
That's a lovely long kick.
Gee, that's a great win. That's the dangerous of all crumbs right at their feet. He takes it as clean as a whistle and hits a target 55 metres away.
Schultz into and out of trouble, got around Gallagher and opened up some possibilities. Cox is his target up the line. English cuts it off.
Peering down the line. Strong lead from Darcy. From the logo, he decided not to give to Fraser. Calculating what was ahead. He goes now. Norton comes up to the footy. Great last ditch spoil from Moore. Bulldogs fans thought he had enough purchase. Not so, said the umpire. Quick kick crisp. Dacos seemed a bit confused. Nick left it behind, was appealing for a free. Richards charged off, not looking back, and maybe not looking forward too clearly either. It is a mongrel ball into the pocket. And suiting well the defence led by Quaid.
A pretty good result in the end for the Dogs. They get a stoppage, they get the set up. Again, it was a brilliant field kick from Sam Darcy. He looks for Aaron Norton, took the mark, but it was just a spoil coming in from the opposite direction that stopped him being paid.
Artie Jones out. He's been subbed.
Tap from Cameron, the hands from Chris were just that. To side bottom, Schultz gets bowled over by Baker. It was the starting sub. Towards the headband brigade and goes for a little ride.
Just a tactical sub, that one with Artie Jones coming out. Oscar Baker injected into the side with some fresh legs.
Free kicks don't have to ever be the same. 26-12 in favour of the Pies has got the Bulldog Footscray supporters just up in arms a bit.
A real skirmish for the ball. Long, hurried kick. It takes a Dog's turn potentially. Duray, no. Couldn't get over the top of Cox. Kicks to an open field. And Bobby's the man. It sits perfectly for him. You can't tackle what you can't catch. And Bobby runs it in for beauty. Collingwood get the first of the final term. The lead bursts to 14 points. He's a tall man, Mason Cox.
Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? It looked like the Bulldogs had cut off Collingwood's exit. And then it's up on the wing. Duray wings the ball and he's looking to release a teammate to go back inside 50. Unfortunately, he tries to hand pass up and over Mason Cox, who with the arms outstretched is about 9'11". And he just doesn't get it over the top. And as soon as Bobby Hill sees space in front, I don't care who's chasing. Good night.
He's had a very quiet night, Bobby.
He has, but he'll have a couple of moments, and that'll be the difference in the game.
He's kicked 2 goals, that's what I was about to say. And if you have a shocking night, you kick 2 a day, or you have a shocking year and average 2 goals a game, you're 40 goals a year, and you'll take it. Off the back half again, though. Another score from back half. Mason Cox involved big time.
Davidson wasn't disgraced in the chase either, was he? He stuck to it, but there was no stopping Bobby.
It must be a terrible feeling, Hutto, when you're chasing someone and you know you can't catch.
Game high, team high, 14-point lead for the Pies. And a free kick here to try and cause some more damage. Cameron decides against the little handoff to Nick Dacos. Gives to his brother instead. Cox ends it going. Not long enough. Fraser, the clean up, a bit heavy on the handball Dale. Baker should have the energy and the balance, and she does. Down the line to Richards, and he needs to gallop. Gallop hard. 2 bounces along the members wing at the MCG. On the bounce to Sam Darcy. It's a long way down. Well thought through by Darcy Moore. Had a great support cast, just waiting, willing and able on the outside. Josh to side bottom. Chris Compton. Marks Bay. Well with a free. There's lots of options ahead.
Back half of Collingwood's now getting right on top. It's a great challenge. Sort of goes through Sam Darcy or bust at the moment.
You can feel the realisation in the crowd too as Collingwood press again. That's a bit of a nothing kick. Well spoiled though by Cox. Kennedy forced the handball to English and then Sanders and then to Carvis. He's high as he charged now. Baker to the inside to Gallagher. No time to have any meaningful look. More. And Sam Darcy turns defender to good effect.
Luke Beveridge got the kit bag. He's asking a lot of his pups at the moment.
They've been good, Jarrett. They've been honest. They're up against a very good side and have responded magnificently, but they don't look like they're ready to turn it up, the Dogs.
Not on such a night. 14-point margin. English pushed it out near Fraser. Pendlebury had other ideas. Comes gliding through. Changed hands as well. Chris Toulon got under the tackle. Pendlebury kept on coming. It's opened up for Chris, and he won't waste it. McStay in the hole.
It's a broken record, Jason. Let's just go back to where that started and who was involved specifically, but it starts off the half-back line again.
I'm going to tell you though, there is a horrible mistake from Bailey Dale. He has got this tackle cold. You've got to stick it. He's right there. And he doesn't stick it. He doesn't even knock the ball out. And then they get the easy chip inside 50. That had to be cut off. As good as he's played, Bailey Dale.
Dan McStay has spilt the milk a couple of times tonight. He leans on this and leaves it on the table. Leaders 15 points. He's kicked 1 goal, 2.
Yeah, we saw the Dogs do that for Sam Darcy in the third quarter. Now Carmus, 2 inclusions tonight.
Problem is now, every time they kick long to Darcy, he's 2-on-1. And Ruckman dropping back.
3-on-1 as Houston joined in. Really overwhelmed the numbers. Lipinski didn't commit to picking up the footy. Kennedy tries his hand. Pendlebury and Josh Dacos, they are swarming again. Beautifully weighted handball to side bottom. Might have done that before to Pendlebury. Over the top though it goes. Williams is well protected, but finding a route out of there is so problematic at the moment. There's risk involved in all of that. Richards made the contest to go. He knew where there was help. And Cameron out the other side via Houston. And now Josh Dacos was committed to his right foot, but he turns with ease onto the left. Sends it skyward towards Long, but also towards Richards. Fraser, insurance out the back with Williams. They're getting dangerously close to the Collingwood goal. We're closing on each handball. There's more and more danger. It was escalating by the second, and probably a ball up. It's not a bad way out.
Collingwood's pressure's been outstanding, and they're getting forced into defensive hand passes, the Bulldogs. They go backwards, they go to another player under pressure, and it's just building.
Cameron won the tap. Fraser has the footy. At the side, Sanders, sleight of hand, got it to Kennedy. They need a reprieve here, the Dogs. Not favoured in flight was Norton. He swatted it back, but it's cut off by Josh Dacos, and there's the run of Quaynor. What will he do? He's going to flare all the way across the field. Bobby Hill takes them up. He'll look up and see Membry on the lead. Long as well. He ignored the first 2. It's a longer kick instead. Elliott couldn't quite reach. Unrealistic and all that. So Davidson brings the Dogs out. Oh, he set Dale a task. Dale fights on. Membry had it, got it to his boot to avoid the hold in the ball. Dale did ever so well. West and Fraser and Richards. They need Norton here.
Not sure how they got through, but they did.
Oh, he had to go to Harms. He was sprinting back. He had Pendlebury chasing. He was 10 clear.
Idling for a while before he kicks to Davidson, who shows his aerial flair and takes the mark. And it just takes a bit of time before placing it, and that's why it's a Dale. It's a spearing ball. Darcy!
Well, this is the way, you know. This is the only way you can see it at the moment because of how well they're defending Collingwood. It's Bailey Dale kicking it and Sam Darcy marking it.
You can't win if you're one-dimensional, though, guys.
That takes the marking, just by the way.
Yeah.
That's a full-pace lead in the fourth quarter against Darcy Moore, Isaac Quaynor, and Darcy Cameron. So it is. You're putting all your eggs in a basket. The basket's pretty damn good.
It was hard to see who he was kicking to, and then all of a sudden it wasn't hard at all. We know what happened in his last 2 shots. They rattled into the post. For a 4th goal for Footscray, it's Darcy or bust. It's Darcy with his 4th.
No, they've been brave.
They have been, guys, but at the moment you've got Bailey Dale down back doing a really good job. You've got Liver doing a great job in the midfield. And you've got Sam Darcy up forward. They need some support acts. There's got to be others that can chime in.
Well, we've been saying it all night. Aaron Norton's the one here, so he will get some real looks because I tell you what they're going to do now. They're going to gravitate back to Darcy. Someone will lead their man, someone else is going to go to him, and the Dogs should go to him because he's absolutely red hot. But somewhere along the line, Aaron Norton's going to stick his mitt in the air and say, I'll get involved here.
What they wouldn't give for a clean centre break, harmless Gray. Sam Darcy trying to lift this breed of Bulldog. Norton's gone into the ruck against Cox. Not the best of bounces, but waved on. Norton hasn't released it. Richards the initial fumble. Davidson on the outside. Darted back through surgically. Kicks for Darcy. Moore's right with him. Underneath Vandermeer. West brushes his way clear. Liberatore! The great names of the Bulldogs are rising. They're within a kick.
Doesn't make a difference when you win a centre clearance, which they've struggled to do, particularly in the second half. Norton goes in, he's able to fashion a little hand pass to Richards. There was some great sidestepping, a bit of trickle toe action from Davidson on the wing, and then you get the contest from Darcy. He's not going to get outmarked, he's going to bring it to the ground. There's Davidson stepping back inside.
Coming back in was a key.
One hand, he gets it to the ground, and then keep it alive.
What about the names involved? Jared and Addo called it beautifully. So it's Liberatore, it's Darcy, and it's West involved. They're all sitting in the stand with a tear in their eye. It's just got a little bit of fairy tale about this.
Hasn't it?
Hey?
Oh, surely not. It's back to 3. And you cast your mind back to the other end of the ground in that final when there was, I thought there was a Liberatore goal, ended up being a poster. Let's get back to the present. Norton thinks he's a ruckman, thinks he's Gary Dempsey. Now he's ready to smother on. Schultz with a handball to side bottom. Richards tackled. With the ball. It's all going the Bulldogs' way. Sanders deep to Darcy. 2-on-1.
Darcy Moore was good to keep Sam Darcy out of that marking contest.
Clearance and contest, keeping the Dogs alive. And Aaron Norton's just gone in and done 3 magnificent things.
Hasn't he?
High from Howe. Maynard, very little opposition, takes the mark too easily.
And this is a side that has been in these positions so much over the past few years. So the professionalism will shine. They need to keep their heads, find a way through.
Oh, he's risking that, as you saw, thumped away from Darcy to English. Time enough for Bramble to carve out a kick. Darcy lost his footing. Perryman took the mark, but aggressive mindset to Quato and then Lipinski. They get into their handball mode, but there was no obvious next hand. Instead, the kick to Cox. His bones were rattled, wasn't it? A mark or a free?
It wasn't a bad free kick to give away, having said that, because it slows things down. They were struggling a little bit to get back the Dogs. We hope Mason Cox has always clipped his jaw. I don't think it was intentional. We hope he's okay. It doesn't look good on replay. He was desperately trying to get there to spoil. Big Rory lob. He's going to come off Mason Cox.
It really should have been 50 who took the mark and then got punched in the face. It's flush. Nick Ackles
looks an honest attempt to score.
He kicks for the channel. Elliott. He's been an ever-present threat.
He has been a fine, Jared. He's been the hard matchup. They just haven't been able to isolate him as much as you would, and that's
a massive shine, I guess. Massive.
Hopefully he gets him over the shoulder. That would be a good result. We were worried about that post game. He might be in a bit of trouble, Big Rory, but this bloke here has got ice going through his veins. When it comes to kicking goals that matter, a few better.
He has kicked 1 goal, 2 tonight. The magnitude of the kick will appeal to him. Jamie Elliott.
Oh, God. You must be.
4-point ball game.
It's a mix, bro.
That's a big let off.
Bramble brings it back to Gallagher. Just starts to feel like every kick matters a little bit more now. We've reached the midpoint of the final term. And Collingwood's lead is 4. Concern has returned to the face of Craig McRae. McNeil down the line, sees the well-worn path. Davidson, Kennedy, both flew. Kennedy didn't mark, but it doesn't matter. Vandermeer deep. West is a show here. The kick just a fraction heavy.
Those Bulldogs fans, if they've been members long enough, they will once have got a letter asking who they prefer to merge with. And here they are watching Footscray on the MCG all these years on.
What can English create at the stoppage? Cameron pitted against it. To the front, West stretching for it. Giving all that he's got. Felled by DJI. Ball it up.
Dogs have cranked it up. Pressure's at 194 for the quarter.
Cameron clean out of the ruck. Hand pass down in front of Nick Dacos. Not the worst idea. McCreary's the run. Davidson's in pursuit. McCreary takes a bounce and steadies. He'll kick to a 2-on-1 against. The Dogs are going to work this out. Karmas made the spoil. Elliott busting through. McStay, yes, works it on for Membry. Williams' job to corral. Membry couldn't quite gather. Williams did the job.
Bludgeoned it forward. Just ran it and bludgeoned it and got it inside their forward 50.
9 minutes on the clock. There's going to be some serious gut running in this last 9 minutes. High pressure game. A lot of running already.
78,027. McCreary a blind handball. Lipinski pounced to Pop.
Biggest home and away crowd the Dogs have ever played in front of. Previously it was in 1974, 68,500.
What a way to celebrate 100 years of VFL AFL. Houston, the floating ball. Lipinski knew not to take possession. To Goey. He's capable of a big goal, we know that, but that was just a little bit beyond him. So it's now 5-point margin at the MCG. Just under 9 minutes remaining as Sanders marks the kick.
You give it back to Dale. Can he find the right kick on the way out?
He
had to have the height, didn't he? Put it to Sanders. Karmas, they're in pursuit. Kept his hands free. Hasn't found the target in Brownell. And they're overwhelmed. Nick Dacos to the teeth of goal. McStay sends it. Williams. Gallantry everywhere. McStay though the goal. Inches in it. Now we'll find out. They'll send it the review to confirm. Or maybe Williams did it enough.
Review underway.
Heroics, if he got there, Jared, I think he might have.
Does that flick the fingers?
I think it does.
Yes, the fingers move.
That
is an incredible effort.
Review please. Look at this angle. We can see the ball's touched by the right hand of the Bulldogs defender. Decision on the scoreboard.
Our team inspired.
What a contest it is. Collingwood are just refusing to let this be anything other than their result.
Well, I reckon there's one relief man out, and that's Buka Karmas. A regulation handball skill error nearly cost him a goal at a critical time.
They're still going for the Dogs here.
Yeah, and English was the right target. Oh, he doesn't complete the mark. Invites the Collingwood pressure back in.
You love the fact that they're just picking the eyes out of this. They're going English at every opportunity, wherever he is, through the middle of the ground, taking the risk.
Fraser read the tap. Down the line, it's Perryman v West. Oh, he's just got a little bit overexcited there. Plater takes it quickly and smartly to Nick Dacos. Creative as ever. Hunting to Goey. Bramble. A little bit agricultural, but he gets the job done.
And the heroics of Williams doesn't excuse the fact that it was just gilt-edged. It was a gilt-edged opportunity, a turnover. What a big crowd. What an occasion they're witnessing.
Dogs doing it without so many of their stars, but they have unearthed a few. Long on the move. They're defending again. Kennedy. Vandermeer, deft of hand. Sanders growing in stature. But how the impasse scuppers another move forward and quickly turns his eyes to side. Stepping through is Fraser. Marching forward the young man. The goal is a great temptation. You're going to give me everything you've got. You're going to inspire me, Teddy. Scores are level at the MCG.
They've kicked the last three, coming back through the middle of the ground, and I tell you, still side bottom every single time has gone, and just that time flinched. And that's not in the script. That's not in the script. And Fraser's made him pay. I know it's a hard game, but in the middle of the MCG in front of 78,000.
It's a gutsy finish, guys. He must have been thinking there's a few options calling here and there, but he just set his sights. He had the run. He looked at the goals he's running. You can see him out to the right. You can see a handball on the left. He said, I'll take the responsibility. That is gutsy. That is good.
The Bolt did that in a preliminary final in Sydney. From 15 points down to level. It's March. It's round 2. There's 7.25 minutes remaining. Nick Dacos, such a classy turn. The give and go. Nick's going to shape the game. Up to side bottom. Looks to make amends. Kicks for shots. No, couldn't hang on. Dale underneath. Just blasted outside the area. Vandermeer against the field. Lending a hand as Liberatore. Vandermeer away to Baker. Clean set of heels from the sub. The explosive acceleration. Nurses the kick for West. Maynard slides in and thwarts the effort.
Don't know whether Lockie Schultz wants to see it either, Jace.
Correct. He thought someone was coming. There was no one there. He ran under the footy.
Failed the moment. Failed the moment.
Oh, boy. See the crumb from Liberatore. It was exceptional.
The Dogs set up at half forward with the scores level. Cameron slapped it straight to the boundary. No good. Turnover.
They got the centre clearance they won after the goal from Fraser. It was 9-5. They were down 9 centre clearance.
Baker sets it up. Here comes Darcy. Hands to it. Not this time. Sanders around. Fraser can't get into the boots. Great tackle. Long did the business. And it's the quick clearance of Perryman. Ball on the wing. DeGoey impeded legally. Karmas comes through. DeGoey stuck that tackle. They're playing for keeps.
What a tackle, and Karmas did well. It was a great Jordan DeGoey tackle, but Karmas didn't let the ball go. Look, he get back onto it. DeGoey, he held it up.
Every single contest is under the microscope right now.
We're down to the last 6 and 10. Fraser can't get ball to boot. And the umpire has played a Collingwood free out of that.
Composure here for the kick for the Pies.
Slips through the hand off to Houston. It's headed to the hottest of spots. McStay! Yes!
Made the mark.
Eat it. Well, here we go. I'd like to see it again.
Free kick.
Look at how much effort he's pushing the back here.
Free kick, is it?
Well, he's given a nudge under it.
He's paid the mark. That's a go. He said he just...
Yeah, he gave the
That's
nudge.
a little nudge.
McStay got half of it, but to go he prevailed.
Big kick.
Well, any score will put them in front. It's Jordan DeGoey on his return to Collingwood and to the MCG. He's usually a good fit, but he too, like so many of his teammates, have not been up to the moment when it's mattered.
3 behinds for DeGoey. It's the point the difference. DeRay with ball in hands. Darcy's a long way from home up on the wing. DeRay bides his time and then kicks for McNeil, really worked underneath. That's not the way. Houston takes the mark.
So Howe on a couple of occasions taking marks from opposition too, and now Houston.
It wasn't a great kick though. Kicking it as far as you can isn't always the best option.
Long down the line, 4-man pack. Karmas over the top. Elliott sharp hands. Lipinski side bottom trying to open up. Nick Dacos sleight of hand over the top. Dale having none of it. Bunted. Sufficient intent.
Wow. Gee, he had to cut off the Collingwood player who was going for the footy. It's tough. It's technical.
McStay to give Collingwood the deepest of entries. No, he dragged it down. They all went on the same page, and Dale with a chance to set the Dogs up.
And worst possible result here.
From the deepest defence. Has to find a way forward. It involves Baker. The hunt-out tackle was simply magnificent from Bobby Hill.
Mightn't be a night, but the moment presents itself. He has kicked the scoreboard twice, but he's been quiet. And they're just now resting a little bit of this momentum back. All the emotion was going one way, and it takes a mighty team to turn it back around. And they've just for the last 3 minutes got it back on their turn.
Has Bobby got something special here?
Deepest of breaths. He's going to use all the potential seconds available.
Be alert if you're the man on the mark.
Norm Smith medalist, of course. Bobby Hill from well beyond the 50. Runs a bit closer. Quick and wobbly ball. Difficult for anyone. And it comes off Cameron's foot. It goes harmlessly back over the line and out of bounds. We're down to 3:38 in the final term. What a Friday night at the MCG.
Collingwood pushing. Cameron and English again. Nick Dacos the threat. Side bottom coming through. Steal. Pure steal from the Pies.
I tell you what, you're never ever defined by a moment. Still side bottom. He just had a flinch moment in the middle of the ground that ends up in a Fraser goal, which then brings them back into it. And you can go one of two ways. And why are we not surprised that he runs to the flyer? He doesn't run away from it. He doesn't want to go to a hole and bury himself. He goes, puts himself back in a position and kicks probably or potentially the match winner. And the lessons in this for anyone that plays sport, you're going to have some moments somewhere along the way. But you can't hide from them. You run back in and you put yourself back into the position and you do that.
So here they are to prevail, the Western Bulldogs. We are going to see some incredible drama. They've got to come from 7 behind. 2 goes out at English. Liberatore, the heart and soul in the middle of the MCG. To Richards, it came back. Bounce back to Liver. His kick was smothered heroically by Houston. Just wiped it away and made it a Collingwood ball. McCreary gets there first. Gallagher took the body and opened up for Membry, who tried to get it back but failed. Well done, young man. Gallagher found a way to get ball to boot. Side bottom again with all the composure and craft in the world. Off to Perryman. Deep to full forward. McStay lingered in the air but can't drag it down. Williams, so they have to go again. Right, Baker for Vandermeer. We have 2 minutes 44 remaining on the clock.
Got to run when your lungs are busting. The English presents ahead of the ball.
They've got numbers. The outnumber is 2 kicks ahead of the footy here if they can go, the Dogs.
Kennedy, where is it? Rory Lobb slides forward, uses the heights, bang it in, give Harms a look deep. Howe and Harms, it clears. Howe gets back, and behind will put it all in the balance again. Here's one straight kick.
Totally misjudged it too, James Harms. He needed it down. He didn't need it in the air where Jeremy Howe lives. Wasted opportunity. They had numbers, the Dogs.
Fascinating, the kick didn't go to Darcy, it went to Harms.
Well, they needed a score anyway. They're back within a kick. They've got to win the ball back now.
Now sorted in and then kicks to air. He saw some height and some marking prowess. McStay, the boldness, maybe forward. No, Schultz it was that time. Stood his ground as they came from every angle. They go into possession mode.
He would have had a heart attack, Craig McRae, seeing that kick go into the corridor.
Well, Schultz is another one that had that ran under the footy, Jason. He had to stand tall when it mattered most, and he did.
Dogs have got a man up, and they'll know that now. Precious seconds. Tick, tick away. 1:35. Collingwood's lead is just 1 kick. 1 more score you'd think would do it for them. Josh Dacos from a static play. Darcy Cameron, but Bukakarnis steps in and steps up for the Bulldogs. And he takes off. Hopes renewed. Kick the centre half forward. Norton, English. At the back, it's Norton that came through. Darcy the tackle on Moore. The blue hair stands out long. Crunched into the damp MCG turf.
The difficulty now is you had Lobbs pushed forward, Norton's out there, Darcy's out there, and Tim English went forward. And you had 4 tools from the Bulldogs flying for the same ball.
What a clearance this is.
65 seconds to sort it. Softly underfoot, side bottom again. Good touch to the wing. McStay's playing for the boundary and gets away with it.
Gee, that's a clever kick from the side bottom. So clever.
He's had some great moments in the last 2 minutes.
Just put an outsider teammate on the boundary side of it.
Lobb's gone to full forward, so Norton, Lobb and Darcy all down there if the Dogs can win a stoppage. English and Cameron wrestling to the last. Side bottom again. Pendlebury together as always. McStay and Nick Dacos all for the boundary. What do you reckon? Throw it in.
Gee, that could have been pinged for running it over the boundary. Side bottom's been everywhere the last 5 minutes. He's owned the footy.
Got all or nothing for the Dogs here. Got to go. Get on the move. Liberatore's the man.
Richards and Fraser set up at the front. Got to burst through the stoppage. Soft tap again to put it underneath. Davidson, clever hand pass. Richards blasts it forward. What do they got? Almost Williams, not quite. Schultz onto it. Collingwood, steady. Chris tips the open space. Karmas comes at it. Can he gather? Membry works him over. Bramble will have to go to the side. Baker can't gather. Stoppage on the far side now. The equation's the same.
18 seconds remaining at the MCG. 78,000 here to witness an enormous occasion. The Bulldogs have taken Collingwood right to the line. Can they find a way from the wing to fall forward? No. It's still side bottom, although he's kicked it out on the full. 9 seconds.
9 seconds, time for 2 possessions to get it inside 50. The long bomb here doesn't work. That sucks the 9 seconds out.
Gallagher has the football. Is there a way? 9 seconds remaining as the clock counts. The kick heads towards long, but Darcy Cameron back there. And the siren sounds. They fought the Footscray way. The sons and grandsons of the Scray, but they have fallen short. Collingwood just too good when it mattered. And they honour their superstars with a dramatic 6-point win at the MCG. And if this is a taste of what we've got in store on a Friday night, we can't wait to give you more.
6.
Do you know when last Footscray and Collingwood met? It was 1996. Collingwood won by a goal. And the gallantry that was directed toward the Bulldogs, Terry Wallace defined as if anybody pats you on the back, and you know the rest of the quote. How uncanny that all these years later, when Footscray and Collingwood meet for probably the last time, it would be a goal again.
Yeah, you almost feel like we've crossed down the rooms and you'd be thinking exactly that, wouldn't you? But it's hard not to praise them for their performance tonight, Jason. They got 3 goals.
Absolutely, Hutto. Gallant in defeat. The only problem is footy clubs get sick of these great performances where you just don't quite get over the line. And it was such a special, momentous occasion for the Footscray Football Club that would have been the icing on the cake if they could have caused the upset and got over the line. There were a couple of chances going both ways. There were pressure moments at different stages that could have turned the state of the game. And in the end, they just had a bit too much polish. Some steel side-bottom control late in the game was exceptional.
Oh, what a game to get at this time of year. Scott Pendlebury and steel side-bottom, that was the other side of the celebration, and side-bottom made that last quarter his own.
He did. After a big mistake that Gary pointed out.
Some smiles all around in the Collingwood camp. And
39 possessions and 9 clearances for Nick Dacos. 34 and 9 clearances and a goal for Tom Liberatore. Gun midfielders leading the way.
Celebrations on the siren that were worthy of a game late in the season. That was the environment that was created.
They are sharing it all up, though, the Collingwood players. They've got plenty to talk about.
Well, it's a big win for them. They keep their momentum going after that horrible opening round performance. So they get to 2-1. They're on the positive side of the ledger. You see the Dogs walking off there in the background. They look disheartened, dispirited. They gave so much and just couldn't net there, unfortunately for them. But the Pies, all of a sudden they've righted the season after people were very quick to write them off after a disappointing opening round performance, questioning all sorts of parts of their game and preparation. But I think they've got a part to play in season 2025. How far they go, how deep they go, we don't know yet. They've been part of a great contest tonight. There's a stunned crowd here. They've witnessed something pretty special.
They really have.
And again, like last night, it was a high-pressure game for the entire 4 quarters. It didn't go up and down like a yo-yo. It was on. The heat was on every single contest.
Collingwood got out to a 15-point lead in that final term. The Dogs dragged it back to level. Still side bottom with the winner. The Dogs will head down to the rooms where all those famous faces, those great names of the club's history will gather. They have carried it with a sense of pride, for sure and certain, for the big Bulldog contingent that turned out. I think it's an achingly familiar heartbreak for them.
Yep, and he'll be positive, Luke Beveridge, Jared. He'll be positive in the rooms and he'll commend them for the effort. It was magnificent. But it could have been a season-defining win had they got over the line here. And if they can win some games while they wait for the likes of Bontempelli and Waitman and Liam Jones and Adam Treloar and company to come back, if they can just win enough games until they get healthy, well, then they can do something.
That was the opportunity tonight that presented late in the piece.
Bulldogs haven't beat 2-0 since 2021, where they went on to play in the grand final, so that would be a disappointment for Luke Beveridge. The Magpies have righted the ship over the last couple of weeks. And
it's a novel twist on the jumper exchange. Teammates,
I like what they've done.
Jumpers.
I like what they've done.
308 glorious games together. Oh, what a game. The Bulldogs beaten, but they'd be proud yet disappointed all at the same time. But Collingwood home by 6 points as we go across to the panel for more analysis with Gary Long.
Thank you, Hutto. Friday Night Footy, it is on Fox Sport. You by the new Ranger plug-in hybrid, and what a contest we've just witnessed, boys. Both sides can be absolutely proud of the efforts. And Collingwood just didn't read the script. The fairy tale looked like it was on. The Liberatore West and Darcy combination got them back into the game. But this football side give nothing away at all, and full credit to them.
What a cracking game. Who says you need high scoring to have an exciting game of footy? That was thrilling from start to end. There were storylines everywhere. Obviously, Pendlebury and side bottom for Collingwood. And the Bulldogs, heart and soul, their effort was evident from the get-go. They did not let that go at any point. They had to. Like, Collingwood were pushed the whole way. And the game was in dispute, 69 points each, 4 minutes to go. That's exactly what you want to see. It was high skill, high pressure, toughness everywhere. It was just a great game of footy.
Yeah, loved it. Absolutely. Bulldogs, as you mentioned, quite a few injuries to key players, but you've got to celebrate Collingwood. They were fantastic. They bounced back after that bad loss against GWS the first week. And their run looked good. Bulldogs challenged them, but they're able to hold their nerve. Got a bit shaky in front of goal, Gaz, with 3 pretty relatively easy set shot misses from Elliott and Stone to Goey, but they held their nerve in the end. I love Sidebottom. Obviously, we'll celebrate him. I love what Sidebottom done. You called it well, Gaz. He had that moment in the centre of the ground, but he responded like great champions do in our game.
I think all their older players kind of in that fourth term really managed the game well. I think Pendlebury had a few really important moments. You could see with about 5 minutes to go, they knew where the boundary line was. They knew they couldn't let this ball out into the open. So that takes experience. It takes being in the moment. And I think it's a key reason why this Collingwood side salutes tonight, because they managed the clock well in that fourth term, especially late.
And you can see Pendlebury and side bottom in the clearances just in front of us here, just how they were setting that up. And yes, you're right, going wide and sucking up the clock. One player I think deserves some acknowledgement is Darcy Moore. His instinct is to fly at the ball. But in the second half, he actually went to the body of Sam Darcy. that took him out of the aerial contest, but it brought third man over up. And we saw Howe take a mark. We saw 3 or 4 times the spoils come across, which was a change of
just have a listen to
his
this.
habit.
This is the crowd was outstanding. 78,000 tonight. We know the celebration was for the Bulldogs 100th game, and Collingwood fans always turn out.
Biggest home crowd for a Bulldogs game ever.
About 10,000. It's amazing, isn't it? It is amazing. And being led off by 2 champions. We'll talk about the side bottom flinch, and then the response, I think, is one of the more instructional bits of footy I've seen for a long, long time. And these 2 blokes deserve to be leading their team off, and they'll give a rousing rendition of this song at yet another victory. 308 times they've played together. I'm not sure what the win-loss is, but it'll be pretty damn good.
60%. I feel honoured to be able to watch the 60%. Like your Buck said, there a few stoppages right in front of us. It was great to watch masters of their craft. You know, just in action for those 4 or 5 minutes, controlling the game, helping their younger players out. I reckon they'll give it a fair old sing tonight, guys.
I thought Jeremy Howe was key, isn't it? Jeremy Howe was magnificent as well. Jeremy Howe was magnificent as well. They all were. The emotion for the impartial supporter probably lied with a romantic Footscray win, but not this Collingwood side. They just refuse to concede anything, but particularly when it gets close. Maybe they lost a couple last year, but I mean, prior to that, you back them in every single time. And it's a fantastic win. When things can work against you, they kick 3 unanswered goals. Fraser gets it back to square one, and then that man side bottom kicks the goal and puts them in front. So we'll unpack it all. We'll have the press conferences. Jared Waitley, Johnny Ralph will come in. We'll give you all the news from what has been a massive night here at the MCG. On a night when 2 Collingwood greats, modern day greats, celebrate. For the run, they'll get players back. They're not going to be too far away in come season end, one suspects. They might be a little bit older than most teams that have run around in recent times, but they know how to get the job done.
Yeah, well, veteran presence is important, guys, in those moments late in games. And they were fantastic tonight. Obviously, the direction they show out there's plenty of experience on all 3 lines. So more often than not, they'll be able to show that composure. A lot of these veterans have been in big games over the last few years, and they were able to just see it through when the inexperienced Dogs just couldn't get it done late.
Let's sit back and enjoy that last quarter, boys. The UE highlights, there were moments everywhere in this 4th quarter, and at various stages it looked like Collingwood had set up a lead that was able to defend. That was a critical interception, and this is the goals from the back half that we'll talk about. Bobby Hill, who was quiet, the chase from Davidson is genuine.
Awesome. He had a couple of beauties, didn't he?
Sums up the game, Bucks, doesn't it? You know, that didn't even matter. And at those stages, either side looked like they were going to run away from them, and that was symbolic. The McStay miss, it's a big misses, as you said. Darcy's misses in the 3rd quarter, hits the point post twice, goes back here, takes a big mark.
This was big.
Well, I think that's the key. Sitting up here watching the game for the 4th term, listening to you guys, it was intense. So you're trying to look for those big moments that happen during this 4th term. I thought there were some great one-on-one battles, and you mentioned more, just the lib out of the centre bounce, pushing forward, really challenging, understanding the play of the game.
The symbolism of that with West and Darcy and Liverpool being involved was unbelievable. That was the Fraser moment that gets them back to level. At this stage, it looks like maybe there's a fairy tale in all of this. Jordan DeGoey has a chance to put him 6 in front, just slides one to the right, and then the man who was celebrating a milestone and refused to let an earlier moment define him. Steel side bottom kicks the winner. What a magnificent end to it was. So we can go down to the victorious rooms, the Collingwood rooms. This is the moment where the siren went. Darcy Cameron takes the mark, and I'll tell you what, Nick Dacos played another really big, important role. And I reckon he would be as proud of his 2 senior teammates and the fact that they were able to get the job done as anything else. And he's been good enough to join us. How are you, Nick? Hey guys, thanks for having me. Good of you to join us, mate. What a night for Well, for the Footscray Football Club, I know your coach said that you weren't oblivious to the momentous occasion, but tonight for your two superstars, and you're able to salute for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, a really special night for footy with Pendles and Sidey breaking the record, but also, as you said, Footscray, and what tonight meant to them too. So really special that we could get the job done for Pendles and Sidey. Most importantly, I know individually how much they've helped me since I've come into the club. So it meant the world to get the job done for them tonight.
Well done tonight, Nick. Great win by the team, and well done personally as well. You were outstanding, mate. When you see that stat sheet, if you already don't know, 39 touches, about 20 clearances. But what did it feel like out there? Because it was a great game of football. It wasn't the highest scoring game of football, but the pressure was unbelievable.
Thanks, Brownie. No, absolutely. It felt Fly spoke going into the game about the arm wrestle that is sort of football and these big blockbuster games. So we knew that we were going to have to manage the moments. Pretty early on, we were tested with big Sammy Darcy absolutely dominating the game, and you find yourselves at times sort of just in awe of what he can do out on the football field. And then on the other side of it, we've got Bobby Hill and the like that are just kicking these unbelievable goals. So I think it was an amazing spectacle of a game, and fortunately the result landed our way.
Nick, out in the field, Sam Darcy in the first half was just dominating, taking contested marks at will. Your skipper, Darcy Moore, I reckon played a really important role in the second half, probably sacrificing his own aerial game just to put the body on Sam Darcy and allow Howie, Dan Houston and others to come across third man over in sport. Was that discussed at half-time? Was it a bit of a team plan with that back six to look after Sam Darcy?
To be honest, Sparks, I'm not too sure if it was discussed between... It might have been discussed between the back line. I don't head back there too often nowadays, but they might have spoken about it. I know Howie had an absolute massive influence on the game early in the second half, so maybe we were able to free him up a little bit more. But Sam Darcy, as I said, you're just in awe of what he can do. Once he gets his arms up, he's so long and he takes the ball at the highest point, so I think it's going to be scary for years to come.
Nick, well done on your game and the win. Take us into the last 10 minutes. What are those conversations out on the ground? I mean, Steele was huge, Pendlebury was huge, you were huge in the fourth term. What do you discuss out there to try and get the game looking the way you want it to look?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we just tried to keep the game sort of in tight. We knew that we had a little lead late in the game, and Doggies were a really good transition team on the night. Ed Richards, Fraser and the like getting out in space, and they used the ball so well. So tried to keep them on the inside, contain them, just keep it a scrappy finish. But they're testing you naturally. They need to score late in the game, so they're taking you forward. And I know a few of the boys were tonguing it, but some of the efforts from our boys, ball gets kicked into space, and you got Bo McCreary, and he does a massive chase. Tim Membry the same. Isaac Quainer on the fat side of the ground. So I just can't speak highly enough of my teammates.
You're really low to ground, mate. You get to those ground balls quick, but Liberatore on the other side, Tom Liberatore was fantastic, had a great night. Talk us through a little bit about what that looks like around clearance when there's a guy in the opposition that gets the ball almost as quick as you.
Oh, he's unbelievable. The amount of times we've got 2-3 people tackling him, and he'll get a handball out and just release them into space, and you think he's wrapped up, but he just finds a way. He's so strong, but I think what's underrated about Libber is too, when he gets time and space, his ball use and his hands and the way he sets up the Doggies is really important for them. So no doubt he had another huge night. And yeah, it's quite amazing to watch him go to work in the clearance.
It's amazing watching you as well, mate. We appreciate you giving us some time. Congratulations, an awesome performance, and go and celebrate with those two old blokes.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me, guys.
Nick Dacos there, who was... well, let's have a look at his game, boys, because in the end, and the first half we said he spoke about the fact that he wasn't tagged. He wasn't tagged for the night, and he was good. And make no mistake, his first half was good, but it was matched by the midfield of the Footscray Footy Club. But by the end of the night, he's had 39 touches.
It started slow that first 10 minutes, guys, which is your best in the game.
Slow, mate. Four touches, 10 minutes.
He went off and got some pickle juice. No cramping.
I think you made the comment, geez, Nick's been quiet, and then as you said that, he got 4 touches.
No, he did too. As the words left my mouth, he was so dynamic around there. But yeah, some of his kicks as well. Like, look at that. Not many players in the competition have got that touch, have they? Especially across their body. But he was just fantastic, and he just seemed to get stronger and stronger as the night went on.
Yeah, I think he found space really well. Like, look at that 23 uncontested possessions. I think as the game wore on and the game opened up, you can just see there, just knowing where the space is, driving his legs, continuing to be involved in the play. I thought he was really in terms of setting up their play and their transition. You're right. I mean, slow in his terms, but certainly that second half, 13 touches in the last quarter. He had a huge game.
He's a double-up player too. You see it in those highlights. He'll give and get quite often. So, and in those couple of handballs or that bit of play, they'll be running forward 30, 40, 50 metres. So it really is a break the lines play, and often it is a pivot player like a Pendlebury or a Houston or a side bottom that he plays off to be able to find a little bit of more time and space.
We don't do this often, but we've got royalty. We've got to go back down to the room.
2 interviews, do we?
We've got 2 interviews, and it's a deserving one as well. Scott Pendlebury's been good enough to join us. Pendles, first of all, congratulations to both you and Steele.
Thanks, mate. It was nice to see him kick the sealer.
It was indeed. What a game. You've been in plenty of them. How did you see it?
Yeah, it felt like both sides had plenty of opportunities. I thought both sides' last line of defence or the roll around was exceptional. It looked like sides were going to score, but there was those fingernail plays that both sides had. So, yeah, it's a really enjoyable contest, and we found ourselves on the right side of the result.
There was high pressure through the middle of the field, in particular, as you said. I thought both team Ds actually looked okay. But in the second half, you found a few opportunities to yourself off half back, find a runner, wait for them to come to you, put a chain of 2 or 3 handballs together to get that deeper entry. Definitely something of your game coming together.
Yeah, I think off half back, any time we could sort of run in numbers and try and get the ball, past that bounce zone for them where they can, probably 30 to 50 out. Go deeper into the last 15, attack their last line and try and turn up on the ground ball on that bit of play. It looked dangerous for us.
Hey, Scotty, congratulations on another milestone. You just seem to be ticking them off. Pre-game, we spoke about you and Steele, and the man next to me described one as a lad and one as a nerd. We're still trying to work out who he's who. Do you want to clear this up for us?
Yeah, Steele's not a nerd. He's come a long way. It was pretty straight early days, but I'm the nerd. I think everyone knows that. But as Sidey says, I've loosened up in the last few years, and we'll head back to the footy club now, and I'll have a couple of beers in the spa.
Well done, mate. Fantastic. I love watching in action. You and Sidey, especially just in front of us, controlling the situation late in that game, helping your teammates obviously set the structure up. How are you feeling physically? You look fantastic tonight.
Yeah, I felt really good. Obviously, last week was planned from a while out to be the sub last week because we had 3 6-day breaks or 3 games in 12 days or whatever it was. And over the last few years, when I've played in those, I've either been injured or I've missed one. So just did a bit of research on it and wanted to be the sub, so I was nice and fresh tonight, and I definitely felt really fresh out there tonight.
Pendles, what's it been like with Dan Houston across the half-back line? He looks like a high footy IQ player, someone that you could work with and control the state of games. Just looks so composed with ball in hand, but then does everything that he needs to do in contests and D as well. Are you enjoying the last couple of games with him?
Yeah, just trying to build that chemistry with him, and as you said, you nailed it there. He's got such a high footy IQ, and he reads the game so well, and the communication between me, him, Nick, Steele, guys around the footy, he sees it really well. So, just building that chemistry, and no doubt we'll go from strength to strength.
We'll let you go, mate. We don't want to hold you up too much. Appreciate your time. Well done, and good luck for the rest of the year.
Cheers. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Scott Pendlebury, the champ. There he is. He's done it again. Hey, Pies from the back half was a big feature of last week. And sitting here tonight, just sort of watching it from these great positions that we've got, every single time they look like the score once they got their game done.
Yeah, they kicked 5 goals, 5 from defensive mid-turnovers. So that's, this part of the ground here that Schultz has taken the ball. Yeah, they only scored the 1 point from their D50, and both sides defended, D50 transition against the other really well. But that launch zone that the Pendles was just mentioning to try to avoid, which is where the Bulldogs had just kicked the ball. Then the Pies were able to come back and open up the ground, kick, as I said, 5 goals, 5 from that source. So it became, where they played their best football, they've done that. And when they played their best tonight, they were coming from that scoring zone.
Yeah, I reckon it was a tough night to try and transition off turnover. The Dogs were, not that they were safe with ball in hand, but they went down the line a lot. So I reckon that was part of the reason. They saw what the Collingwood football side did last week, 98 points off turnover, a lot of score from their back half. They just wanted to limit the space that they had to use on transition. but when they got through, they looked dangerous. I mean, fantastic kick. You can't substitute speed. It was a great call by Jared. You can't tackle what you can't catch. Fantastic call.
Yeah, and look, I thought they did pretty well early in the game, Footscray, in tying them up a little bit, not denying them. It just took a bit of skill, and once it got in the hands of Dacos, both of them, and Pendlebury there, they got involved in a chain and looked dangerous again. But it's compelling here, and I'm sure opposition sides have taken great note of it.
Yeah, it was a struggle last year, wasn't it? We kept saying, when the Collingwood going to get that running game going from half-back and through the midfield, that turnover game, which they were so dominant at, to win the premiership in 2023. Some good signs, though. The last week, obviously, an inferior opposition, but tonight, the Bulldogs put up a really good challenge. So they'll be buoyed by those numbers. They're starting to get their game back.
The Dogs won't be disappointed with their performance.
No.
I was surprised. Like, their energy shouldn't surprise us, but their ability to come together and work efficiently as a team in all phases was excellent throughout the match. For the number of players they had out, for the young players they had exposed in different roles, I thought they were exceptional.
I couldn't agree with you more. In fact, Tom Liberatore, highest rated player on the ground, thought he was superb. He had great willing sidekicks in Ed Richards and Kennedy. I thought Darcy at one end and Lobb at the other end, the two of them.
Lobb was enormous.
How good were they? They were imposing. And they just refused, Richards, they refused to yield. And at various stages, they looked to have the game reasonably in hand. And then they gave up multiple goals. They got so much to be proud of. And when you think about what's coming back into this lineup at some stage, then I thought Booker Karmas was great. I thought his defensive work was excellent. So, no, they've got a lot to look forward to. So they lost no admirers on what was obviously a really significant night for them. And at one stage, it looked like maybe the script writers had got it right, but Collingwood were not to be denied. Still, Sidebottom he's a star. He's a superstar of the game, right? Has been for a long time. He enhanced his reputation in my eyes today on the back of something that we all think, or football people think at various times, are just the biggest no-nos. And that was, he had a moment late in the game where he just flinched or didn't go back hard enough, or whatever the case may be. But his response from that moment on, he was the highest rated player on the ground in the second half. So let's not get away from that. But, all of this stuff we know that still Sidebottom can do. I don't know whether we've got the actual incident that I'm talking about. But his response post that is what he goes up in my expectations on the back of it.
If you play for long enough, you're not going to be perfect on the footy field, and you're going to have your errors. And one of the great talents, and that was after that moment, and one of the great abilities of all champions in our game is to move on from their mistakes. You can't stay in the past and carry that forward with you. And he was able to let it go and just go and focus on the next 10 minutes and make sure the game was won for his team.
And the thing about it is not everyone does, right?
It wasn't the worst, but
no, it wasn't around it. But everyone should know this. We're not doing this to highlight anything other than the response. The response. And hang on, at this stage, it was a massive moment. That he was responsible for a goal that put the Western Bulldogs back on level pecking. And then what happened is the bit that all footy players and football lovers and football followers should look at him and go, how good that he can make a mistake. And as not everyone can compartmentalise. Some go into their shell and say, don't have the footy come my way again.
Great lesson for
he went to it.
Well, I think that's why he's, not necessarily his response, but I think he's loved by all footy supporters. And I know it's hard for Bucks, obviously, you've got the bias towards him, but he's a guy that, as an opposition supporter, you go, geez, I wish he played in my team. Don't you reckon? So it's not surprising that he comes back from something like that, which also takes enormous mental fortitude to be in a huge game like that with 80,000 people go, geez, I've let my team down here, to be able to quickly switch it and then obviously be the match winner. It's amazing, and obviously that's veteran presence for you, but you still got to be able to get it done, and he did.
I think the other one was Schultz. Schultz had a moment. There was a kick from Sidebottom, and I can only think the two of them got together after the game and maybe had a laugh about it. But he had to stand up in the middle of the ground, Schultz, and there were two dogs closing in on him, and he did exactly what he needed to do in that moment. So I think the same conversation as Sidebottom. Now, maybe Schultz hasn't got the runs on the board that Sidebottom has, but certainly in a moment when you get a chance to rectify a moment that you'd like to take back, I think he also stood up in the moment.
I think that this was a really important game for Lachie Schultz. I think this is probably one of the few that he's actually shown us what he was capable of earlier in his career, maybe in his Fremantle time before coming here. And he probably hasn't been quite as effective as he would have liked. But 7 tackles, the ability to run up and down the ground, his pressure was excellent, and then to be able to finish when he had his chances, that's going to be a great fillip for his confidence and belief. And I think he'll be really happy with that 4-quarter effort and want to take it on the next month.
Indeed, it was a high pressure game. Both sides, had pressure up around 200 at various stages. Collingwood in the end, as we said, they prevail. But when they crank it up like this, in the front half particularly, they become, such a dangerous side.
Very rarely you see teams with close to 200 or over 200 go for long periods in the game. And that's why this was a great game of football. Football, obviously, conditions were good throughout the night as well. So, as Buck said, it doesn't have to be high scoring when both teams bring the application. And it was just great to watch. And I just love the effort of which team's going to crack. Well, neither of them cracked. Collingwood looked like they were probably the team that was running the best at the end. But, the Bulldogs just kept pressing and kept coming and, they just couldn't quite finish it off.
I think the one thing, if you're going to be critical about the Dogs late, that other sides would possibly do is use angles more and take the ball offline. I think they just went back down to the numbers too many times. It didn't challenge Collingwood on the open.
You think it's because they're tiring a little bit or just the Collingwood pressure?
Oh, absolutely. Well, who knows? But I think they were forced to go down the line. But I would have liked to have seen them challenge a little bit more and not rely on that long kick to Darcy.
You can also fall in love with Sam Darcy. I think, we kick down the line because in the first quarter, their transition from D50 to forward 50 came in the means of 3 Darcy contested marks that got them end to end. So it's easy to fall in love with that, but Sam Darcy's actually going to be better placed if you change the angles, find him a little bit more space, a little bit more movement because he's so hard to defend.
Actually, it's funny you say that. I think actually Norton especially, he's not favoured by down the line. Even though you would think he's the more likely than Darcy. Darcy can stand up on his feet and put his arms up in the air. Norton's a jumper. He likes to come in from the side. So if you're not changing angles, doesn't allow him to get the tick leads or the wraparounds. And Norton tonight looked like he had 2 left feet at times, didn't he? He was unbalanced in the contest when they were playing down the line.
He had some great moments, Norton, in the last 5 games.
He was fantastic in the run. Yeah, he was. He really was.
Everyone had some moments throughout the night. It was one of the great games. 6 points was the margin in the end in favour of the Magpies. Both coaches' press conferences to come. Jared Waitley not far away. And Super Saturday tomorrow. You want live footy from 12 o'clock? Fox Footy is the place to be.
You're watching Friday Night Footy on Fox. Brought to you by the new Ranger plug-in hybrid.
Surprise prize. All right, there we go, folks. How was that? The Magpies, they did it. They got up by 6 points, just the 1 goal. Their ball ended up down. The Bulldogs forward 50, so it was lucky. It could have ended up being a draw. I tell you what, it was anyone's game, though. 6 points, 2 goals, 5 the Magpies put on in that final term. 3 goals, 1 the Bulldogs put on. The Pies just couldn't kick straight, but they got the job done. They got the job done. Unfortunately, they spoiled the Dogs' celebrations there of 100 years. But you know what? It was good for the Pies to have a win. We're good supporters in both. Paul's very happy out there. I tell you what, Paul, look at the chops and changes in the worm there. The Bulldogs just came out, but the Pies were just left flat-footed early, and then they got the game going, got back in front. Then the Bulldogs, then the Pies. Looked like the Pies were just going to run away a little bit, and then the Bulldogs just came back in that final term before the Pies luckily got that final goal. Oh, I tell you what a great game. What a great game. We didn't expect it to be a good game like this, so tight. I think both teams will be a little bit spent. A lot of energy being played on the game today. It was an absolute cracker, folks. Absolute cracker. Of course, again, the poll, well done. You picked Collingwood. 61% went for the Magpies to win this game today. And, of course, we got that correct today. Well done, everybody. We're just going to have a look at the upcoming matches coming up over the weekend. And coming up tomorrow, 1:20 p.m. Melbourne time, we've got the Essendon Bombers. They're taking on the Adelaide Crows at the MCG. That's 1:20 p.m. And, of course, following that, you've got Port Adelaide taking on Richmond over there at Adelaide Oval. That's 4:15 Melbourne time. That's the time I do them. And of course, tomorrow evening, you've got St Kilda taking on the Geelong Cats at Marvel Stadium. That should be a bit of a close game. I tell you what, the first one, Essendon Adelaide, I really don't know who's going to win that one. Adelaide going in favourite there on the road, and of course Port Adelaide. Well, I tell you what, after the way Port Adelaide played last week, I don't know how they're $1.10 favourite against Richmond, $6.70. Can the underdogs do it again? Of course, St Kilda, $4.10. Geelong Cats coming up the highway, their favourites. Sunday's games, we've got a few Sunday's games. 3 games there, which should be pretty good. 1:10 p.m. Melbourne time Sunday. You got the Brisbane Lions taking on the West Coast Eagles, 9th versus 17th. And of course, after that game, you got 3:20 p.m. Melbourne time. You got North Melbourne, who are 12th, taking on Melbourne, 10th on the ladder. And the final game of the round, it should be an absolute cracker of a game. A 16th play 11th, but it is Fremantle Dockers taking on the Sydney Swans over there at Optus Stadium there in Perth. That should be a ripper game. Of course, we had a look at the stats, and just for one more time, leading disposal getter on the ground. Who other? Well, Nick Dacos. Nick Dacos. Probably gets the 3 votes today. Maybe it could be Darcy for the 2 votes. And it's quite possible. I don't know who's going to get the 3. Tim Liberatore, maybe for the 2 votes, and Darcy for the 3 votes. I think that's the way they may go on the voting. But look at that. What a close game. What a close game. Magpies, 10-16-76, defeating the Bulldogs, 10-7-70. If we have a little bit of a peeky look at the ladder, if the ladder has been updated, let me just bring the ladder across. Let me ship that over. That's the look of the ladder at the moment. Now look at the coaches' briefings not too far away. Hopefully they're quick and we'll stick on in there. Stephen, how you going? How you going? So Hawthorn, as Paul said before, it's a little bit strange. When some teams have played 3 and other teams have only played 1. But as it stands, Hawthorn, they've played 3, 1-3. They're sitting on top of the ladder. Against GWS Giants, they're sitting second, 2 from 2. And, of course, the Magpies, after that crushing defeat in the opening round of the Giants, had 2 fantastic victories. Sitting third now on the ladder. A good percentage there of 120%. And of course, defeating Port Adelaide last week. And tonight, the Western Bulldogs. There we go. Gold Coast 4th. Geelong Cats 5th. Adelaide, Richmond, Footscray. There is your ladder so far, but it will start to even out a little bit once all games are played the correct amount of games each, so it should be pretty good. I think we're down to the press conference, so let's go and listen to Luke Beveridge from the Footscray football team.
Which means you might occasionally make the odd mistake or turnover, but I don't know, it just felt a few times like you're prepared to take a few more chances.
Yeah, I didn't think that they hurt us from some of those kicks that you're talking about. I thought that they got us when we tried to overshape the ball by hand. We overused the ball, particularly in the first half, with handball chains, and then I thought the correction was better. You might have noticed the adjustment maybe that Harvey Gallagher made. I just praised him for the request was there. Hard, you got to understand when you're in space and what we're after, and I felt like he had a really positive change in his game in that. So yeah, I feel like they pressured us into balls that spat forward, and then we were in trouble in open space. Anything dropped in the open from a stoppage, we were in trouble. They set the ground up like that, Collingwood. We knew that. We had to mitigate that risk throughout the course of the night, and probably just quite didn't do it well enough. And they capitalised on some of those opportunities, and in the end it was telling. The 1 goal margin, they left some out there, they kicked some points, but a lot of it was from those short range turnovers, I feel.
How exciting was the way that Sam Darcy stepped up on the big stage tonight? Yeah,
he's a threat. He's a significant threat, Sam, and that's what I say. When you come in at half time, you've only had 22 entries, and you're just in front. There's some promise there, because if you if you get repeated territory, if you're able to keep it there, maybe you give others an opportunity, and Sam's in the game a little bit more as well. So we've been a team that's the style of game we play and the ball use that we talk about. We've been a team that's been high inside 50, and we obviously everyone endeavours to keep the opposition out of their territory, and we've been pretty good at that over the journey. But we got tramped on there tonight by about 10, I think.
Lee, what's the ceiling for someone like Sam Darcy? I know it's a hard one to answer, but is he a guy that could be the best player in the comp one day? Is he that type of talent?
Well, forwards in their position, it's a bit temperamental because they do rely so heavily on their teammates. You know, when you're inside mid or ruck, you're in charge and in control of your own destiny. So there's no doubt that you see his highest point stuff. You think, how are they going to stop that? And I suppose that's the thing. He'll get the rub of the green here and there with different things, but the supply and as he matures, can he cover more ground? Can we grow as a team to provide more and more opportunity for him? And that's all going to all those factors are going to be the things that influence where he can get to in his career and where he can get to with his status in the competition. Because at the moment, everyone sees him as an enormous talent, enormous, quite literally, a huge threat for their planning. Any team thinks, what are we going to do? So we should all benefit from that, and we probably didn't tonight. Sam was a definite influence, but we didn't have enough around there, and I think it was probably because of the lack of quantities of their opportunity, but also we gave way too many free kicks away in errors. Way too many.
Frustrating to lose a close one. When you lose a close one, knowing you're without like a considerable block of key players, no one wants to use that as an excuse, but it's inescapable. It's a factor. How do you sort of balance those two things when you're talking to the players about how to treat this result? Because there's a lot of positives, and there's guys to come back, so there's a lot of good out of it, but you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to dwell on the injuries, but they need to be factored into it.
Yeah, well, there's two things. You've got to make sure that the boys playing feel like they're valued and they're not just warming a seat, for someone else to come and take it. And I know that everyone's processing the fact that we've got some experienced, influential players out, but that's not really the way we're talking internally. And I just said to the players there, you look at Collingwood's team and make comparisons and don't make excuses. We're in the game. Credit to you. Well done. But we didn't win it. And we came here tonight to win the game. So, yeah, but our workplace, our group know within it that they're safe. That the coach is measured, all the coaches are measured. People who are supporting them are going to search for the positives and help them through the tough periods and aspects that they need to probably be better at. So it's pretty easy to balance it. Just don't become too emotional about it. Just encouragement's the key, especially for all the younger guys. They're going to keep learning week to week and growing. And yeah, we'll come together again. Another big challenge on Friday night against the Blues.
You mentioned the free kicks earlier. It was 33-14 to Collingwood in the end. What did you make of the umpire tonight? It looked like a few possible chopping of the arms of Darcy a few times.
Yeah, it's not a safe place for any senior coach, I think, to be talking about the adjudication of the game. It didn't. I was frustrated with some of the blatant ones that we gave away, and in the end, I just treated swings and roundabouts, and I knew about the differential at the end of the game, but we've got to move on.
Darcy obviously played such a low hand. It does make it even more frustrating the fact that Jamara's not out there. What could have been, it's almost like a self-inflicted wound when you could have a two-pronged attack out? Is that a bit frustrating as well?
It depends how you look at it. I mean, if you're an economist, you think about the opportunity cost either way. You know, I think one of the difficult things is the ruck situation. You know, Tim needs a break. Someone's got to do it. How do you do it? How do you find the juice? Early in the year too, you know, guys are out there for a while. So that's one of the considerations and how you pick your team. So, yeah, I think with even, like, say, Buku, I thought Buku really held up well, definitely in the last quarter. I thought he and Bailey Williams were just tremendous. You know, I thought they were great roadblocks, and Lobby stayed out there all night again, you know, just quite outstanding. And so, but with our keys, we've got young Jordan Croft, who was looking promising, maybe even a chance to play senior footy, and then's had a hiccup or two just in his training. He'll play tomorrow against the Northern Bullants, and with James O'Donnell going out this week, he's a candidate to play either end of the ground, and Buku can do that too. So I think we've still got a lad or two who can help balance up and even give us that representation if we need to do that, or if we want to do it in selection. So we're thinking about it from an opportunity point of view, and we'll keep searching for whether or not we need that.
Fairly conspicuous out there tonight. Any comment on that?
Yeah, I caught it when I saw him the other day. I know it won't stick, but I thought he was Dennis Rodman reincarnate, even though Dennis is still with us. Yeah, look, he's bold. He's playing well, so you can have your hair whatever colour you want if you're playing all right.
Just I was going to say, Collingwood obviously so good in close games since Craig McRae's taken over. Does the psychology almost creep into the team? Is it hard to gauge? Like, do they almost think, oh, geez, Collingwood in a close game, we're here again? Does that come into it at all, do you think?
I don't think so, but yeah, I mean, definitely 2 years ago, I mean, they win 10 or 12, you know, unbelievably. And obviously, I don't know whether it's sustainable. It obviously wasn't last year. But yeah, I felt Steel Sidebottom had an outstanding last quarter for them, and there's a bit of experience there out of the middle. He just serves the ball. He kicked a couple for the game, but he kicked a really important forward 50 stoppage goal for them, and there's some experience there. He and I didn't think we tackled the guys who have got good deception. He and Pendles, one or two others. I felt like our tackling game wasn't as good as theirs tonight, where they got us a few times and got some free kicks from it. And so it's an area that we want to be good at, but there's some improvement to come in us in that facet. And they played that way, and their source pressure was pretty good to the line, I felt. But the experience stood up in the last quarter.
Injury-wise, okay?
I think we're pretty good. Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Very magnanimous in defeat is Luke Beveridge there, proud of his players, no question about it. Tomorrow's going to be massive. His Essendon and Adelaide MCG coverage from 12. Stay with us though. Craig McRae press conference to come. John Ralph and Gerard Waitley steer the ship home. Take the night off, Louis.
You're watching Friday Night Footy on Fox. Brought to you by the new Ranger plug-in hybrid. happy still? We can't be. We just can't accept it. I don't know about you guys. Like, if I see one bloke walk out of here, get the pat in the back from people out there for a good effort, I'll spew up.
That was the last time that Collingwood and Footscray met. It was here at the MCG. Collingwood beat Footscray by 1 goal. John Ralph, I was hoping for an homage from Luke Beveridge.
And Gary O'Sullivan just sitting there like a stunned mullet in the background. Friday Night Football delivers again.
All right, Bucks Brownie, great to see you both. Let's drop into the Collingwood press conference here. Craig McRae has his Pies 2-1. There was a lot on the line tonight. They played with absolute passion and commitment to get their result. Here's the victorious coach.
Craig, Groundhog Day, another win by less than 6 points or less.
It's a great game of footy. I'm not sure what the commentary is around it and what people saw it at home, but certainly from my eyes, it was a really hard-fought game of footy. Credit to the Bulldogs. I thought they played really, really well. Got a lot of their best players out, and they just fought right to the last bit, which challenged us. And it's just nice to have a new version of us, but still have those tight wins and know what to do in those tight situations.
Do you think you would have been stiff to lose it, given you more scoring shots, you won most of the close stats?
Yeah, there was a period of the game I felt in the last quarter that we just had a couple of chances to really put a big margin in it, and then that would have challenged host teams, but you just never know in this game. The numbers would suggest that, but I think the spirit in the Dogs tonight was hard to crack, and they play a brand of footy that makes it a struggle, and they're a hard team to beat.
That was Reef and Guinness. It sounded like the guys were fearing the ACL.
Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like Reef's might have done an ACL. We still won't know officially until tomorrow morning. Devastating for the young man and his family and all of us. We put a lot of trust and hope in Reef that was going to be a good season for him, and we'll find out tomorrow, I think.
Side bottom and Pendlebury, they broke the record tonight for most games together, and two of your best players as well. Can you just sort of speak about their longevity for this team?
Yeah, no, we went deep celebrating these lads, and incredible what they've been able to do for our football club, and maybe broader to that. We celebrated during the week, and then before the game really stepped into it, and to see both of them sort of turn it on and have great performances, still kick the winning goal with a big smile on his face. It's great reward.
It's an interesting contrast with the conceding the goal after fumbling that one in the centre. Were you thinking at that moment he'd come back and do something good to make up for that?
Oh, there's so many errors in the game. There was an enormous amount of errors in the game, and decisions made under pressure because you're sort of straight away in the coalface of. Every decision matters, like turnovers or missed shots, and players sort of take a while to get used to that. So the coaches, there's a couple of moments they go, what are we doing? Going away from what we normally do. But that's part of the game, isn't it? Umpires make mistakes, we make mistakes. It's just pleasing that we were able to just wash it away a little bit and still have a big moment.
Yes, can we talk about Pendle's being sub last week? The way he performed tonight, does it almost validate the way you're sort of managing through another year of football?
Yeah, I'm repeating myself here, but it's March. And, this is such a long year. And tonight was probably a bit different to a normal March game. It was really contested and dogged, and it was hard. And so, Pendle's experience was really, really needed. And his contest work was great. I think he had 11 score assists for the game, which is big numbers. And we're playing the long game for all of us, to be honest. Putting players out in the paddock, they're going to be fit to perform. And, it was a big part of our review last year, and we're going to stick to the path.
You've got the oldest list in the competition. Is that more of a consideration for you guys than others?
It's not true. I don't coach other teams. We're just worried about what we've got, and our experience is really needed and important. Tonight was showed we don't win that game without our experience.
Ask a little bit about that. There's a lot of focus on how old the list is, traded first round picks, all those sorts of things. Is there a greater urgency in knowing that is a fact?
No, we're trying to win for now, win for the future. Guys like Reef is disappointing because he's part of our future. No, we're process driven. We're determined to get the best out of our squad, whatever it looks like. Not consumed in too far in the future or too far in the past, to be honest. We're being present here, and and controlling what we can. It's a long year. Round 3, I think. No, not even that. We've played 3 games, only round 2.
It's setting aside this year, let's say you play finals, whatever happens, this time you play finals, doing a premiership, whatever happens, do you feel like you're in a good position for 35 years time?
We're very confident in the list we've got that we can match most teams, but again, you've got to deliver on that. Like we found out in round 0, this is a tough competition, and if you're just slightly off in your game, it's really difficult. So not getting too far in front, like I said. So there's a strong narrative around the age and things, but we don't get caught up in that.
Speaking of the future, had a fair bit of Sam Darcy tonight. All the conversations like in coaches' blocks, managing him, he had a pretty dominant first half and somewhat nullified in the second.
Yeah, he's a great player. Like I'm watching him from afar just do his thing against all teams. Like it's 208 centimetres. It's like Darcy Moore is our 203 centimetre defender, and he had a good night. Darcy. He had moments where he got beaten on a good player. He's had 12 intercept possessions, Darcy. I'd see some stuff in Darcy that we were wrapped in, and there's some really good play and little moments that sometimes are the difference to good players. He's fast becoming a star, isn't he, Darcy? Yeah. Well, Nick had 39 possessions. I don't know if we count those, but certainly it's a high number, and. We love what he brings for us, and the game's in good shape. That's why we get big crowds, and congratulations again to Footscray, 100 years, and they put on a great show for their team, for their supporters, and we're lucky enough and grateful. Thank you for asking us to be part of this game, because it's I'm a bit of footy nuffy. I love footy, and growing up in Adelaide watching State of Origin with Teddy Whitten, and then admiration for Dougie Hawkins and these guys. I just love footy, so played a significant part in this game, and I'm very grateful to be sitting here, working in footy because of teams like Footscray. So, congratulations.
Last couple of weeks, it's starting to get best out of lucky shorts again.
Yeah,
obviously tough first season.
I'm glad people starting to realise how important he is to us. He had an incredible last quarter, but Lucky Shorts in the last few weeks, he's just trying his guts out and working so hard. He's a real workman for us, and the players love playing with him, and he fights and scraps and never gives up on the contest. And just take a moment to have a look at his start of his last quarter, and then the last contest over the other side of the ground when Tim Membry runs 150 metres just to neutralise the ball, and there's Lockie's running his guts out. We certainly love what he's doing for us.
How's Mason Fox after copying that last ball for us?
He looks like he got a couple of stitches in his eye. Didn't come back on the ground, but I'm not too sure we're too concerned about that, but we'll have to monitor him in the next period. It looks on the vision like he got punched in the face, so he's got a couple of stitches.
Is that one you expect to get looked at? Like how much of the was coming for the sport?
I'm not sure, I assume so. Guy leaves the ground with a couple of stitches, I'm not sure. I'd leave it up to others to decide that.
Was the damage done by his glasses or by...
Yeah, potentially, but he got punched in the face.
Any concerns about Chris? There's a bit of a sling tackle on West early on, and obviously the consecutive goes records in reach now as well, isn't it?
I remember the one right in front of me. I have to watch the replay to make a better assessment of it, maybe during the week.
Just back, we were talking about management earlier, just very much. It seemed a bit unique to see the reason was General Swan so early in the year. How's he travelling?
I got a back spasm yesterday, and so we come in. He's in the squad, and he comes in, sort of hobbling in, and which is most weeks for Brody. Love you, mate, but you do come in bruised and battered most weeks. And again, we've sort of potentially in the past we would have put Brody out there, and because he's a guy that would be able to fight through that stuff. We had Mason ready to go, and thought Mason come into the team to play a role for us. So we look after him.
Just that big mark by Cameron right at the end, the game-saving mark, I guess.
Yeah, he's fast becoming one of the better ruckmans in the competition because he just gets himself in great position. I thought it was a great battle between those two tonight. They both had moments of ascendancy, and it was a good old-fashioned ruckman going at it, and two of the better in the competition right now. Thanks, guys.
Had to have your battle armour on tonight, and Craig McRae all the way through. Bucks, we wouldn't have won that game without our experience. It's a pretty sharp retort.
Yeah, that was having a come. And then the Nick had 39 touches. I don't know if we're counting those. Yeah, a few little reminders there.
I've seen that look in that man's eyes a few times over the years. As much as he loves having fun, he's got that in him. He's got that edge in him, and he had that edge tonight. Even from the pre-game interview, you just tell he was just, he was ready. He was ready to go to battle himself, even from the coach's box.
Yeah. Right. All right, folks, that's all we've got for this coverage tonight, where it was the Magpies 10-6, Dean 76 defeating the Western Bulldogs 10-10-70, the Pies by 6 points. Thanks, everyone, for coming in. Thanks, Stephen. Yeah, that would have been a good tour of the MCG. I did it once a long time ago. It's pretty good. Pretty good getting down, having a look. I tell you what, the change rooms, though, they're actually smaller than what they appear on TV. But the ground was fantastic. It was empty when I went there. It was epic. It was epic. All right, folks, that's all we've got. We are over and out for tonight's live coverage of the football. We'll see you tomorrow. And the next game is on. All right, folks, ciao for now. See you at the next game.